Completely submerged in water. We cannot stress enough how this situation is just mounting as the minutes go on. It's mounting, it's getting worse. They were able to go down the Kinchafuni and get this video. They were there you see Carol Wynn's Drive. A lot of you are concerned about that. Creekshire Court. There you see more houses submerged in water almost completely.
And there was a tremendous rescue effort over there the other night. As these floodwaters began to rise, they just surprised the people over there because they were rising so quickly. And there were many people in this area over in Creekside Drive that were stuck in their homes. And there was a massive effort of volunteers with boats from that area that went in and spent literally all night picking people out of their homes and taking them on boats and getting them out of that area. And that was so very important because those people were trapped in their homes. And as you can see, those homes now, many of them are completely underwater. You see the only thing showing is chimneys and rooftops. And if it weren't for those volunteers with the boats who rushed out there to these areas and helped these people, then we could have had some loss of life, some real tragedy that we did not have. So, you know, we cannot say enough about the volunteers, about the people who have been out helping in this tragic situation.
Ben just got a note in. Public Health Department on South Slappy needs help immediately. Public Health Department again on South Slappy needing help immediately with sandbagging. Those of you we were mentioning earlier who want to help out with situations, please go down to the Public Health Department on South Slappy. They need help with sandbagging. Now, one of our producers, Greg Majeski, has been riding around and getting some video for us. We have some of that video now that we'd like to show. We're going to...
Yeah.
You got with the medicine bag? Yeah, the medicine.
Can I take the lamp?
Yeah, we found one before we got there.
I've got
Hang on to it.
Yeah, and I got
this
everything.
one.
It didn't float away. Okay.
It's the worst I've ever seen it. I've seen water here lots of times, but this is the worst I've ever seen it.
Well, they're just going up on the top floors, I guess, and getting the, you know, the furniture and lamps.
I mean, are you personally handling this okay?
No, my husband's doing this. I'm going, we live about 2 blocks up here.
I mean, emotionally, you okay?
Got a little bit nervous.
Oh, well, I saw the Midwest flood when the Mississippi went over. So this is real similar, except just on a little bit smaller scale.
The way this is on a smaller scale.
Yeah, it really is. It's still devastating no matter what, though.
It's scary. I've never seen anything like it. It's really bad for all these people. Try to help out
You just can't think of it. I mean, it's beyond your mind. You can't think about something like this.
Everybody get up. I would love that. I would love that, bro. Oh yeah, how you doing? Huh? You like all this work? Oh yeah, we like it. We like it. Ain't nothing for Omega Man. Ain't right, bro? Yeah. Ain't nothing. Oh yeah, we can do this all day long.
Oh, it's a mess. It's a mess and a half.
Awesome.
Yes, Lord.
How's look down there?
It's awful.
You ever seen anything like this?
Never, ever.
Just some incredible sights and sounds and scenes from Albany today. And one thing that struck me is how one area can be so devastated, and then just right next door, really, I have an aunt and uncle who live here, and they have a printing shop that they own that's just a few blocks from the station. And it is in an area where some water is threatening, so I drove over there today to see how they're doing. And driving by some of the streets over between Stewart Avenue and Whispering Pines, completely dry, just a beautiful sunny morning this morning when I went over there, and then just a half a block away, people are evacuating. Their homes are completely underwater.
Almost seems like 2 different worlds. Our city is really just split in so many different sections. It's spliced is what it is. It's dissected in a lot of different areas, and it's just, words can't explain what it is. It cannot.
And we want to remind everyone about the curfew. The entire city of Albany now, they just made this announcement in the press conference
Right.
that we
And
had.
I'm going to double check on that, Bill, but as I understood them to say, the curfew, those of you who live within a quarter of a mile of flooded areas, 7 p.m. to 8 a.m. is your curfew. Other areas, sunset to sunrise, that is your curfew. But we'll double check on the other areas part. But as I understood them to say, and you know, I've been listening in and out and showing video, it is sunset to sunrise in other areas of the city.
I want to make one other announcement. We've had a lot of people concerned about all the animals out at the Cheehaw Wild Animal Park. They have had some problems out there. They apparently have lost most of the goats out there. Apparently a mule and some wallabies as well did not survive the flood because part of that area is underwater. However, the bears are okay. Most of the animals are okay. They say the water is receding, and they describe the destruction as substantial but not devastating out there. And right now, the balance of the animals, they say, most of the animals who did survive are now on high ground and being fed and being taken care of. So while they did lose some animals, a few animals out at Cheehaw Wild Animal Park, and they say there was some destruction out there, it's not perhaps as bad as it could have been, and most of the animals out there now are safe.
Yeah, we've had a lot of concerns, a lot of questions about what's happening at Cheehaw. How are the animals doing? So I'm glad we have that update in. Again, want to reiterate that 19 south of Holly has been evacuated. Hopefully you are out of those areas. If you have that in, Public Health Department on South Slappy needs help immediately. If you can offer your services, please help the Public Health Department on South Slappy with sandbagging. A lot of different notes here. Kmart and Publix on Dawson Road. They now have a shipment of water. There was concern about water for the shelters. That water is now in there. Another footnote to all of this about shelters: they do need cots and blankets, water, milk, any supplies you can give them. It's desperately needed.
And time, you know, if you like we say, go by the shelters. Call the Red Cross, call the emergency number 431-2860, and those people can tell you how you can help your neighbors who are in such desperate need right now.
Ben, could you mention again those people who were still trapped in their houses?
Yes, that was just a few minutes ago, down south of Albany in Dougherty County on Empire Avenue and Blue Springs Road. That area was flooding, and apparently there was some fairly rapidly rising water that caught some people off guard and was beginning to rush through some homes, and some people were trapped. And at that time, there were no rescue crews there, but we understand now that there are some Dougherty County police officers and some emergency crews on the scene there. We also have a news crew down in that general area, so we'll try to keep you up to date. But apparently those people will be okay. But if you live down in that area of Empire Avenue and Blue Springs Road, that is west of the Flint River, south of Albany, out in Dougherty County, that area is flooding. The situation there is dangerous and changing rapidly. So if you can, try to get out of that area right now.
Okay, want to clear up some rumors as well. Drinking water in Albany is fine. A lot of people have been questioning that. The sewer system, they're asking that we not overtax the sewer system. So drinking water is fine, just don't overtax the sewer system. That means don't try and flush too much, taking showers. Be a little bit conservative because of some of the problems that we're having, but the drinking water is fine.
And again, just please use some common sense. Don't be out on the roads unless you absolutely have to. Please don't get in the way of the emergency crews or volunteers who are out working to help the people, the flood victims, and never drive around barricades, never try to drive through roads that are flooded.
Access across the river, it's been difficult to get a look at just how much damage the floodwaters have caused as they've spilled over into homes and businesses and across highways. The Albany Civic Center has been fortified with sandbags, and so far, they appear to be holding off most of the water. The parking lots are now lakes, and volunteers are still lending a hand, doing whatever they can to keep the floodwaters out of the Civic Center. Just a couple of 100 yards down from the Civic Center is Washington Homes. Today, about the only thing visible are the roofs of the apartments. And the torrential floodwaters have also forced more than 100 caskets out of the ground in the Riverside Cemetery. Many of them are now caught in trees, while others are pinned against fences. The flooding has now spread over into northwest Albany. Portions of North Slappy have been closed because of water on the road. Most of the Albany Plaza is underwater tonight, along with apartments and homes around Whispering Pines. The Palmyra Medical Center is now an island, but the hospital hasn't had to evacuate its patients. That's because of the help of a lot of sandbags and pumps, which is keeping water out of the hospital. The water is continuing to thrash underneath the bridges on Broad Avenue and Oglethorpe Boulevard. Everyone is keeping a close eye on the water, as the Flint River is expected to crest at a record 45 feet tomorrow. Casey Jones, News Center 10, Albany.
Albany City Commissioners George Ort and Doug Everett walked around some of the neighborhoods in East Albany this afternoon to see close up what damage has been done. A dramatic story unfolded overnight and throughout the day today to save HCA Palmyra Medical Centers. Citizens, employees, National Guardsmen, and Marines pitched in to keep the hospital from having to evacuate as floodwaters surrounded it. Trees were cut to clear a makeshift helicopter pad in front of the hospital. Luckily, only 6 of the more than 180 patients were evacuated as the waters rose. Palmyra was able to stay open on its primary power supply, but an incredible effort is still underway to keep from flooding the backup generators.
Feat of working together between the City of Albany, the Doherty County, the National Guard, and the Marine Corps, and a tremendous number of volunteers from this community.
I think we did a darn good job, to tell you the truth. Everybody, civilians and all the National Guards and Marines, all. I think we did a darn good job trying to keep this water out of here.
Employees were shuttled through floodwater on National Guard vehicles. Many have been at work for more than 48 hours and have gone beyond the call of duty.
Employees that if they are not needed in an assigned area, that are being sent to a personnel pool. They have been willing to do everything from sandbag to serve food to transport patients. I think the morale is excellent.
Volunteers sandbag entrances to the hospital to keep water from coming inside. The only flooding was water that backed up through drain pipes into the dining room. Through all of the turmoil, inpatient care has not been affected. The first death in Albany from the flooding was confirmed this afternoon. Divers found a car that was washed away on the closed Liberty bypass late last night. Inside, they found the body of a 4-year-old from New Jersey. Another child who was in the car when it went under is still missing and presumed dead. Robert Heydrich has more.
Before the search for the car could begin, the National Guard first had to place sandbags on the other side of the closed bypass to stop the swiftly moving water running across the road. It was the same water that sent the car off the roadway and into the deep water. 5 people in the car were rescued from the trees, but 2 children, a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, were not able to get out in time. The search started with a boat dragging the 20 to 25-foot water. A helicopter was later called in to see if it could spot the car from the air. Finally, a team of divers found the vehicle near the trees where the others were safely rescued. In the back seat, the body of an unidentified 4-year-old boy was found.
And diving the water that I dove in, there's no visibility, none at all. We had to search our way through, and it was luck that we found the vehicle, and especially when the door was open, it was luck we found a child in in the back seat of the vehicle.
Authorities believe the body of the 2-year-old has possibly been washed farther downstream. They say it is too dangerous to search for the other child until the water recedes. Just why the Jersey City, New Jersey family drove around barricades and onto the closed highway is still unknown. 2 of those rescued have been identified as Stanley Mallory and Denise Pinkney. The other 3 are said to have been an adult and 2 children. The State Patrol says it is important for people not to drive on roads that have been blocked off. And even though sandbags have stemmed the flow of water across the bypass between Slappy Boulevard and Jefferson Street, the water is expected to run back over the roadway.
These sandbags are up here just as a temporary effort so we could get in and perform the rescue. And then this water is down right now. It's expected to come back up. We came in as quick as we could. We're getting in and getting out.
The death toll from the flooding across the state is now at 23. In Sumter County today, authorities recovered the body of 42-year-old Hilton Howard of Smithville. And in Monroe County, north of Macon, the body of William Miller of Tipton was found. He had been missing since Tuesday when his car was swept off of Georgia Highway 87. Miller's wife, Willow, was rescued after clinging to a tree for 9 hours. Robert Heydrich, News Center 10, Albany.
The Georgia State Patrol says there was another car that was washed off the Liberty bypass at the same spot that New Jersey family went off the road yesterday. The driver of that car, though, was rescued. Albany flooding victims fear the worst for a Hickory Lane man. Witnesses say they believe William Wallace drowned when currents pulled him away. Residents say Wallace went back into the flooded area looking for his mother. He did not know she had already been taken to a shelter.
To the water, correct. They saw him fall into the water, but no one seen him come up. They thinking that a current took him on down. So right now, we just asking if William Wallace is anywhere, please call his mom.
If you know of the whereabouts of William Wallace, you can call us here at the station, or you can call Larry Wallace. That number is listed in the phone book. Wallace has been missing since yesterday. As we told you, the situation here in Albany is only getting worse. The floodwaters continue to rise. The Flint River expected to crest tomorrow at about 46 feet. North of us, though, the situation, of course, still is very critical. It is still very dangerous, but it has passed its worst point. The Kinchafoonee Creek in Lee County has crested and is now beginning to recede. Still, much of the county, though, is underwater. News Center 10's Robert Heydrich is between Albany and Leesburg, up around Creekwood Apartments. Robert, what is the situation like up there right now?
Well, Ben, the thing about the flooding here at the Kinchafoonee Creek is that up the creek, where there are a lot of expensive homes, homeowners have spent the last 2 days wondering just how bad the damage is. And of course, in the video we showed earlier in the newscast, they could see that the water went up almost to the roof of their homes, and when they waters recede, they will be able to get back in. They will find that their homes suffered extensive damage from this flood, and not just on the creek, but several hundred feet away. Also, one of the hardest hit areas is right here at Creekwood Apartments and at the Raintree condominiums nearby. And if we'll zoom in, we'll see one of the units, this truck that you see that is submerged in the water. We're told that the owner of that truck and the owner of the condominium is out of town and has no idea. I'm sorry, not the truck, but the car? Yeah. The car, they tell me, the blue. Pan over to the blue car that is covered somewhat by those trees. The owner of that unit is the one out of town and has no idea what has happened to her home in this flood at the Kinchafoonee Creek. The damage here, just to about most of the units from what I've been able to gather are two-story units, and a lot of these people here moved their stuff to the second floor for what little time they had in hopes that the waters would not rise that high, but they did rise high enough. We're joined now by one of the residents here, Linda Kidd, and I guess you've lived here for some time, and did you really expect the type of flooding that you've had into your home here?
No, we didn't. We went to bed about 11 o'clock, and then we got up at 1, and we saw some signs of water, and we went back to bed, and at 3 o'clock someone was beating on the door. And it was terrifying just to look out your door and just see all the water coming at you. So then we started telephoning and going down, knocking on doors and just screaming and talking. And at 5 o'clock, all the power was cut. My husband is Billy Kidd. He immediately got on the telephone, and within 20 minutes there were people from all out in Radium, and just all of his friends came in, and we started in number 40, and we worked all the way back to number 1 and just helped to evacuate and make what we could safe. There was one elderly lady that we had to walk out when the water was up to her waist. It just was so terrifying she couldn't leave.
Okay. Unlike some of the people north of here who cannot get to their homes and see the type of damage, you've been able to see from the highway just how high the waters have gone. Just give us an idea of, as we look that way, Arnold, and show some of the damage towards your unit.
You can't see my unit from here, but everything on the first floor is floating. I
know that it's a very difficult moment, and we appreciate.
There's a car in our swimming pool. And there's a butane big tank laying out in the swimming pool and the tennis court. And it's just terrifying and devastating to have to experience something like this. We're very thankful for all of Lee County and just everyone that has come to our rescue. to Kersey's here at the Chevron station. Nobody could have made it without them. They have afforded us coffee, clean restrooms, just all the luxuries of a telephone, anything we needed. They gave that to us these last couple of days. It feels more like a month. We're just very thankful, and we're grateful for everyone that has come to our aid. And don't think it's not appreciated. I just want to let you all know that thank you, and God bless you, and it's a miracle that we have the things that we do. We haven't lost any lives, and we haven't lost any pets. So we're just very fortunate. We're a lot more fortunate than a lot of people. And
that is one of the good things that is in here in Lee County, is that there's been no loss of life. And another good thing that Mrs. Kidd pointed out is the fact that people helping people, helping out at shelters, donating food, donating items, doing whatever they can, filling sandbags in Albany, and here helping people move out. And when these waters recede, the help will be here for these people who live at the Rain Tree condominiums and in other places here in Lee County and in Albany, as when the floodwaters recede, the rebuilding of lives will begin. We'd like to thank Mrs. Kidd for joining us, and Ben, we take it back to you at the studio.
So many tragic and emotional stories, but as you say, it is so encouraging to see how the people work together. I was out over there in Lee County the other night, and just dozens and dozens of volunteers just selflessly going out and really risking their own safety to help rescue other people. It's very encouraging to see that. Robert, one other quick question. What is the road situation like over there in Lee County, particularly there at the U.S. Highway 19 bridge? That is now open, is it not?
That is now open. We had heard reports that the water may be going back up. We don't want to scare anyone, but the bridge is open, which means you can get from Albany to Leesburg, and if you can get to Leesburg, we understand that 32 East has been open. I don't know if that has changed. We have heard some reports that maybe a bridge or two may have been washed out, but the roads here are opening up a little bit, and we'll have more information for that later.
Okay, Robert, thank you very much for that live report from Lee County. And don't go away. We will be back with more special Flood Watch coverage after this.
You want us to change grocery stores.
You'll really love Bruno's.
It would disrupt our routine.
Bruno's is so clean, the produce so fresh.
I could find our market blindfolded.
Bruno saves you money with double coupons and Super Saver specials.
But everything would be out of whack.
There's rotisserie chickens, angel hair coleslaw, pudding pound cake.
I don't know.
Bruno's. Higher standards, lower prices.
For those who are interested.
Get out of town and come to Sunbelt Ford Mercury. Take the 18-minute ride, the low prices, and the great dealability sale.
At Sunbelt, we have dealability on Ranger XLTs and Escort LX. Your choice of only $189 a month. All Ford cars, trucks, Mercuries, and used cars. Dealability, nothing held back.
The dealability sale at Sunbelt Ford Mercury in Sylvester. We're close to everything. Remember, the Sunbelt Ford Mercury tag isn't on your car or truck. You paid too much.
Of course, this is a special Flood Watch edition of News Center 10. Our entire newscast is devoted to this ongoing crisis in our area. However, there are some other major national and international stories that are happening today, and one that we do want to mention to you right now. We have just gotten word that the judge in the O.J. Simpson preliminary hearing says there is enough evidence to try Simpson for murder. O.J. Simpson will be bound over for trial for the murders of his ex-wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, and her friend, Ronald Goldman. Once again, this bulletin just in. The judge in the O.J. Simpson preliminary hearing says there is enough evidence to try O.J. Simpson for murder. Of course, that trial has not been scheduled, but O.J. Simpson apparently now will go on trial for 2 counts of murder. Back to our Flood Watch coverage. Albany Mayor Paul Keenan got his first look at the damage in the city from a Department of Natural Resources helicopter today. From the air, the extent of the flooding is far beyond what anyone could have imagined. and providing some insight into that massive cleanup that lies ahead. Dave Nethers is live down at the Albany Civic Center today, where hundreds of volunteers, Dave, have been working diligently, very hard all day, filling up sandbags. Are they still out there now?
They're still out here. They're in back of me, and I know we didn't plan on this. I want you to take a good look at these people. This is an inspiring sight. There are just people from all over the city doing as much as they can, anything they can, to help out. And I can't tell you how many thousands of sandbags. We talked to a gentleman this morning who said overnight he probably filled 1,500 sandbags all by himself. And we weren't prepared for this, and these people aren't prepared for this. But I'm going to talk with some of these people here and ask what brought you here tonight.
I felt sorry seeing the Albany State pictures this morning. I just felt sorry for everybody else that was going to have to go through this flood, so I said, well, I can come down here and help them with the sandbags, so I came on down.
That's very, very nice of you to do. Let me have you stand up over here. You're tying sandbags. Let me ask your name.
Dwayne.
Dwayne, why are you here tonight?
Because my house got flooded. I just want to help other people.
Okay. How long do you plan to stay here and do this?
It's about night.
Until about nightfall. Well, of course, there is a curfew at nightfall. We'll be talking about that curfew. Thank you, everybody. But there is a curfew tonight, and we'll be talking about that curfew in just a little bit. But hundreds of people have come here to the Civic Center from as far away as Valdosta today in this incredible effort to minimize the damage from the flooding. But you really can't get a true picture of what the damage is like until you see it from the air. Georgia Department of Natural Resources Commissioner Joe Tanner's words after he surveyed Albany and Lee County from the air.
This is, in my opinion, the greatest natural disaster that's ever hit the state of Georgia. And Governor Miller has directed all state agencies to respond, that we have no higher priority.
In fact, there are no accurate words to describe what you see from the air. Traveling south from Oglethorpe, the Albany Civic Center. Next is Washington Homes, a city project which was evacuated 10 o'clock yesterday morning. An electrical substation in South Albany. The fence has collapsed. Nearby, an entire neighborhood is submerged. The front of two of the homes also appears to have collapsed into the floodwater. There are cars washed into the porches of homes and other homes that are barely visible. At Albany State College, disaster. Despite an intense effort to save this school, all of its buildings are flooded. The water line is up to a railroad trestle behind Front Street. A power line dangles into the water. North of downtown, submerged rail lines. Further north, HCA Palmyra Medical Centers appears to be an island surrounded by 4-foot-deep floodwater that has claimed offices and homes. In Lee County, the Muckalee and the Kinchafoonee have claimed many homes. New subdivisions are completely underwater. The good news, the water line appears to have dropped. That video was shot by News Center 10 photographer Otis Malone from the Department of Natural Resources helicopter. We want to thank Joe Tanner for allowing us to go up in that helicopter today and see that. Joe Tanner, who you heard from in that story, has also said that he has deployed many boats from the Department of Natural Resources to this area. Their entire effort is going to be to help in search and recovery of victims of this flood. Also, their effort is not going to stop here at the Dougherty County line. He knows, as we do, that this flood is not stopping in Albany. It's going south to Newton and Bainbridge, and the Department of Natural Resources is going to be there too, and all the way follows to the state line. I'd like to update you with some new information now for the City of Albany. Assistant City Manager Janice Allen is with us, and Janice, you have been the spokesperson for the city throughout this disaster. And what is some of the newest information that you can share with us about the situation now?
Most importantly, I want to pass along information on our curfew, Dave. Just to give you a brief statement, the curfew is now in effect from 7 p.m. to 8 a.m. within a quarter mile of any flooded or evacuated area of Albany or Dougherty County. In all other areas of the city and county, the curfew runs from sunset to sunrise, and we are allowing traffic for essential purposes for legitimate business needs within this time frame for some reasonable period of time, which means that if you're in an area and you need an electrician to come in, certainly you can get your electrician in and he won't be called in or arrested for going out to your house. But we do want to emphasize to people that we have a lot of emergency vehicles in on the street, and they need to get around. They cannot afford to be hindered by extra traffic. Our police cannot afford to be hindered by spectators who are just taking videotapes of the flood. We need to get people off the streets unless they absolutely positively need to be out there.
Right. The police department is also taking this curfew very seriously. People are going to be jailed if they're in violation.
That's right. Right now, of course, there's no access between east and west. If you're on the east side of the river and you get arrested, you're going to the Worth County Jail. Okay, we're taking it that seriously. We'll have helicopters out all night to prevent looting. We know some people in the shelters may be concerned about their property, so we'll have helicopters out with night lights all night long to look for looters, and they certainly will be brought in if necessary.
We know that the river is still rising some. What are the boundaries of the floodwaters right now? Are there any people who still need to be concerned, who may need to evacuate tonight so they can get out before nightfall?
For the most part, everybody that needs to be notified, I believe, has been notified by now. We've had our police out. We think it has reached its maximum boundaries at this point. That's not to say that the water may not get a little bit higher where you live. It may get just a tad bit higher, but it should not affect any other major subdivisions that it hasn't hit already.
Are you saying that as far as the city is concerned, perhaps the worst of this is over?
I will not go so far as to say that the worst is over. I will go as far to say is that it probably will not get much worse than it is right now.
Okay. Thank you very much, Assistant City Manager Janice Allen. Want to say that really the city and the city in general, I don't want to talk about city officials, I don't want to talk necessarily about public safety people, but Ben, the city in general has got to be commended for the way this has been handled. Naturally, Albany, unlike some other cities north of us, had plenty of warning that this was coming and time to prepare. But North Albany, other areas of Albany still have power. The entire city still has water. This is just an absolutely remarkable effort on behalf of everybody in this city to respond to this terrible disaster. And it looks like despite all the tragedy, we are going to come out of this in fine shape.
And Dave, we have said before, obviously we need to point it out again because they say they are going to strictly enforce that curfew tonight, that people just do not need to be out on the streets. If they want to be out, then why not volunteer? Call the Red Cross, call the Emergency Operations Center, and we will give those numbers to you. Or go down to the Civic Center and find a way to volunteer. You're standing there, obviously, with dozens, perhaps even hundreds of those people back there. In fact, could we talk with some of those sandbaggers, Dave?
Well, yeah, in fact, we did just a moment ago. Let me talk to this gentleman here. Let me ask your name.
Brett.
Brett, how long have you been here tonight?
Say 7 hours so far.
7 hours so far. How many sandbags have you worked on?
No, I'm not counting.
No,
just tiring.
What has inspired you to come out here and work 7 hours in this? These sandbags, I think, weigh about 50 pounds apiece, and you've got to be exhausted. What's inspired you to come out here and do this?
I just wanted to help the community, and I'm living in Dyson. No floods are around there, and I just want to help other people that are in a different situation than I am.
Okay, thanks very much for coming out here and for talking with us. People have come, Ben, from as far away as Moody Air Force Base. I think 50 people have come from Moody Air Force Base. Let's have somebody we haven't talked to. Come here. Hi. What's your name?
Brandy Sapp.
Brandy, how long have you been out here today?
Oh, a long time.
A long time. What have you been doing for the most part?
Bagging.
Does this give you a sense of fulfillment, as though maybe you're doing something because all around you there are floodwaters? This is a tragedy, but do you feel good about what you're doing?
Very good.
Okay. Do you know the destination of some of these sandbags?
No.
Okay. I can tell you that some of them are going to the hospital, some of them are going to businesses along 19, and you're doing an incredible job. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay. Ben, I could go on down the line, and I think, you see the smiles on these people's faces? They're working with 50-pound sandbags. They're sweating. It's hot out here. There has been one fellow who passed out today from heat exhaustion from working out here, but they just keep on going. And we must also say that the not the Red Cross, but the Salvation Army has been out here all day long, and they have been providing meals and have been providing refreshments for all these people to just keep them going. It's really inspirational out here, Ben.
triumph in the midst of tragedy there,
Absolutely.
Dave. Thank you very much for that live report. And there are more sandbags on the way. The Georgia Air National Guard has flown in a whole lot of sandbags to the Tifton Airport, and they will soon be on their way to East Albany to help out the flood victims there. Of course, these rising floodwaters have closed many businesses because the water is either in those businesses or around those businesses. But even more than that, it's cut off the employees from getting to work. And right now we have a list of some of the places around town that will be closed. And we want to make sure that the folks down at the Albany Marine Corps Logistics Base do realize that the employees scheduled to work weekends should come into work this weekend, if possible. Well, our meteorology crew, we have 3 full-time meteorologists. You know that. They've been following this situation as well. Christina Abernathy has been keeping a close eye for the last few days on the flood stages of all the creeks and rivers around, and she's here now with an update on that situation.
We've got lots of information to get to, so let's take a look first at Preston. The latest stage was 6.9 feet, and it does seem to be falling. Now, the Kinchafuni at Dawson, as of this morning, it was at 23.88 feet. It crested yesterday at 26.6 feet. Now, at Albany, serious flooding, of course, continues. The flood crest is expected Saturday at 45 to 46 feet. Once again, the flood is expected to crest Saturday in Albany at 45 to 46 feet. Now, for the Flint River at Newton, a dangerous and record floodwaters will develop as a record crest of 45 feet approaches and passes through Newton on July 11th. Now is the time to protect your property and life now. Once again, the most recent stage at 11:30 this morning when the Flint was at 26.1 feet. Crest of 45 feet should be reached next Monday, July 11th. Residents should now take action to protect their property and lives. This is a serious situation. The Flint River at Bainbridge, another serious situation. Dangerous and damaging record flood crest of 45 feet will reach Bainbridge on July 13th. Now is the time to protect your life and property. It's expected to reach 35 feet Sunday, July 10th, and crest near 45 feet on July 13th. Widespread flooding is likely in Bainbridge. Once again, measures should be taken to protect your life and property now. And now we want to take a look at Montezuma. The stage this morning was at 35 feet. It was expected to crest at 36 feet this afternoon. As for Lake Blackshear, we did know that it is overflowing the dam. That does not mean the dam is broken. It's just overflowing the dam. By tomorrow morning, it's expected to be 10 to 12 feet above normal. That is for tomorrow. Lake Blackshear expected to be 10 to 12 feet above normal. Now, the Ocmulgee at Hawkinsville. The river will reach a record crest of 41 to 42 feet on July 11th. Extensive flooding will result. Protect your life and property now. Once again, the Ocmulgee River at Hawkinsville expected to crest 41 to 42 feet July 11th. Now, the Ocmulgee River at Abbeville, a near record crest of 22 to 23 feet is expected early next week as flood warning continues. So you want to be aware that the flood wave moving down the Ocmulgee will be a threat to people's life and property over the next 5 days. So residents in these areas, be aware of that. Now, the Itchaway, Notchaway. The latest stage information we have, this is at Milford, was 22 feet. That's the latest information we have. It's expected to crest at 25 to 26 feet tonight. Once again, take precautions. Now, unfortunately, the Muckalee has no gauge on the Muckalee, so the National Weather Service is not able to make any predictions about the Muckalee, so unfortunately we have no information. As far as George, Lock and Dam, it's below flood stage. The gauge below the dam is 122 feet, and it seems to be falling. Now, Andrews Lock and Dam should be falling below flood stage now. And that looks like that's it for our flood crest right now, and we'll continue to keep you up to date on this. This is the latest information we have. Once again, we want to remind everyone how serious the situation is.
Yes, you keep mentioning record levels, record. We've never seen any flooding like this in the history of this area, and likely never will again in your lifetime or mine. Thanks a lot, Christina. Want to reiterate a few things for you. Once again, there is a curfew in effect for all of Dougherty County tonight from sunrise to from sunset to sunrise. Our curfew for all of Dougherty County tonight. Now, if you live within a quarter of a mile of a flooded or evacuated area, that curfew will be from 7 p.m. in just about 25 minutes to 8 a.m. 7 p.m. to 8 a.m. within a quarter of a mile of all flooded or evacuated areas. And take this seriously. The police department says they will be enforcing this curfew. They will be arresting people if they have to keep them off of the roads and out of the way as emergency crews continue to try to meet the needs of these flood victims, because rescues are still continuing right now. There are still some people who are evacuating. There are still some people who are being trapped in floodwaters and are being rescued and gotten out of those areas. Also, we want to make sure that we give you a couple of phone numbers of where you can call if you need help, if you need assistance, or if you want to offer help or assistance. You can call the Red Cross, and that phone number is 889-9000. Once again, that's 889-9000. That is not the normal Red Cross phone number. The reason being, the Red Cross had to evacuate. The floodwaters came up on North Slappy Boulevard and forced the folks at the Red Cross headquarters there on North Slappy to move over to the Southwest Georgia Regional Blood Center on Dawson Road. That is now where the Red Cross is headquartered. That is where they are monitoring and leading the rescue efforts. So if you need help from the Red Cross, if you want to donate money, they need monetary donations. If you want to donate money to the Red Cross, if you want to offer your volunteer services, you can call the Red Cross at 889-9000. The Emergency Operations Center for Albany and Dougherty County, that phone number is 431-2860. If you need help evacuating from your home, if you have questions about if you need to evacuate, and or if you want to offer volunteer help, you can call that number. Again, those two numbers that you see on your screen, the Emergency Operations Center at 431-2860, or the Red Cross at 889-9000. Of course, there are hundreds, thousands of stories to be told from the Great Flood of '94. Right now, we want to take a look at some sights and sounds of the flood of the century.
Yeah. You put the medicine bag? Yeah, the medicine. Can I take the lamp?
Yeah, we found one before we got there.
I've got the key. Yeah, and I got everything. It didn't float away. Okay.
It's worse than I've ever seen it. I've seen water here lots of times, but this is the worst I've ever seen.
Well, they're just going up on the top floors, I guess, and getting the, the furniture and lamps.
I mean, are you personally handling this okay?
No, my husband's doing this. I'm going, we live about 2 blocks up here.
I mean, emotionally, are you okay?
Got a little bit nervous.
Oh, well, I saw the Midwest flood when the Mississippi went over. So this is real similar, except just on a little bit smaller scale.
By the way, this is on a smaller scale.
Yeah, it really is. It's still devastating no matter what, though.
It's scary. I've never seen anything like it. It's really bad for all these people. Try to help out with them.
You just can't think of it. I mean, it's beyond your mind. You can't think about something like this.
Everybody get up. I would love that. I would love that, brother. Oh yeah, how you doing? Huh? How you like all this work? Oh yeah, we like it. We like it. Ain't nothing for Omega Man. Ain't right, bro? Yeah, ain't nothing. Oh yeah, we can do this all day long.
Oh, it's a mess. Oh, man. It's a mess and a half. Awesome. Yes, Lord.
How's the look down there?
It's awful.
You ever seen anything like this?
Never, ever.
The sights and sounds of the flood of the century compiled by News Center 10 producer Greg Majeski. And we will have more of News Center 10's special flood watch coverage coming up.
It was really terrifying. I just got up. I just left all my stuff in the house. So all my stuff destroyed. So.
Did you really think the Flint River was
I never did thought it was going to get that far. Yeah. So that's why most of my stuff in the house. I left all my stuff in the house.
Cliff here at IHOP, and I'm here to clear up some confusion about IHOP's delicious T-bone steak breakfast and their mouth-watering T-bone steak dinner. Now, there is no T-bone steak lunch, but you can get the breakfast for lunch or dinner. No, wait. Is that right? You can get the lunch for breakfast. No. You can get the breakfast for lunch or dinner, but then dinner and... forget it. Nobody does breakfast like IHOP does breakfast or dinner.
Try the 12-ounce T-bone steak breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Only $6.99. Good anytime at your IHOP now.
Wherever there's a small town in Georgia, chances are there's a Piggly Wiggly too. Because out here, folks know the value of $1. And that's why they come to Piggly Wiggly for great savings. This week, save big on whole or shank Hamilton smoked ham, 99 cents a pound. And Tetley tea bags, 24 count, only 89 cents, plus double coupons. So, no matter where you live in Georgia, you're never far from the great food and great prices at Piggly Wiggly, your hometown grocer.
Meteorologist Leanne Pope is here now with our forecast. You know, if you weren't in the areas that are underwater, it was really quite a nice day for most of the day. Some thunderstorms in the middle of the afternoon, but really a nice sunny day for most of the afternoon.
For most of the afternoon here, but there have been some thunder showers around. There are still some rain showers out there. Most of them are light to moderate showers, but there are some that are dropping a little bit of heavy rain shower activity around parts of the southwest right now, southwest Georgia. The radar picture showing where these showers and thunder showers are at this time. You can see around Seminole, Decatur counties, Clay County, Baker counties. Some rain showers occurring at this time all the way over from around Tifton up toward I-75. So we do have the rain shower activity. It's moving to the north at this time. Some of these fairly heavy storms, if you were around the Albany area or in South or North Dougherty County today, you saw some thunderstorms move through the area, gusty winds. The wind was blowing pretty hard. It dropped a little bit of rain here at the station. We didn't get that much rain, but around Smithville got a good bit of rain shower activity this afternoon with a thunder shower that moved across the area. Right now, though, we have the moisture continuing out of the Gulf of Mexico, pulling all of that warm, moist air out of the Gulf, and the air in place is very moist and it's warm, so we're getting the thunder showers across parts of the area, but doesn't look like we're going to get a big amount of rain, so it doesn't look like at this time that it should affect any of our crest at this time. You can see at 7 in the morning, we should be back to partly cloudy skies. At noon, partly cloudy, maybe an isolated thunder shower around. Then at 5, still the chance of an isolated thunder shower. At 7, around 74 degrees, 83 at noon, and about 90 degrees at 5. Right now, we have 80 degrees, mostly cloudy skies. Relative humidity, 76%. Winds out of the north at 3 miles per hour. And barometric pressure, 30.16 inches and falling. High today, 89 degrees. That's before we got that brief shower this afternoon. The record 172 for the low, and the record 64. We've had 9 1/100ths of an inch of rain here at the station today. That brings us up for the month to 6.55, so just over 6.5 inches. For the year, just under 34.5. We have a surplus of almost 4 1/4 inches, so a lot for our surplus. Our sun sets tonight at 8:45, rises tomorrow morning at 6:39. That's important for all those curfews. So your sunset 8:45, sunrise at 6:39.
39. Across the state, we're seeing 70s, 80s, and even some 90s around. Look at Alma, 91 degrees, 92 for Valdosta. They've had a lot of sun for today. Albany at 80 degrees, at 76 in Columbus. Atlanta at 84 degrees, where the wind is blowing pretty hard. They've had some wind gusts up to around 40 miles per hour in just the past few minutes in the Atlanta area, so some thunderstorms up there. It's 90 in Savannah and in St. Simon's Island, with Panama City at 88 degrees. Satellite picture showing the clouds over the area. We're still seeing the cloud cover over southwest Georgia in the last hour or so. You can watch as the clouds build up over southwest Georgia, and that's where those thunderstorms are. Those should start dying out as soon as the sun sets, and we'll see them decrease in intensity across the state. We do have some clouds to the west of us associated with the frontal system. The front right now back into parts of Arkansas and Texas. It's going to continue to move to the east, and it looks like it's going to be in portions of northwest Georgia. You can see by tomorrow there's not a lot of moisture with this system at this time. It's going to increase the chance of precipitation across extreme northwest Georgia for Saturday and Saturday night. We're still going to have a chance of rain around our area, but otherwise we should have partly cloudy skies. Not a really big chance, just an isolated shower here or there, maybe a scattered shower in parts of southwest Georgia, but that's just mainly due to our southerly flow bringing in that warm, moist air. And this frontal system is also going to be bearing down, but it doesn't look like it's going to have that much moisture with that frontal system. Our forecast for tonight, a few evening showers and thunder showers with lows around 72, light and variable winds. Then for tomorrow, partly cloudy, a few showers around. Those will be in the afternoon with highs around 92, winds out of the southwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tomorrow night, partly cloudy, showers and thunderstorms, early evening showers and thunder showers mainly across our areas. Low around 71, winds out of the southwest at 5 miles per hour. Your marine forecast for Carabel and St. Marks. If you want to take a break from all of this here and go to Carabel or St. Marks, winds out of the southwest at about 10 knots, seas 2 feet. Water temperature 82 degrees. You will have a light chop for your bays and your inlets, and widely scattered showers and thunder showers. For your beaches for tomorrow, it looks pretty good. Partly cloudy skies, maybe some afternoon or early evening thunder showers. Highs for your Florida beaches around 88. Your Georgia beaches a little warmer, around 92 degrees. So not so bad. It looks okay for the weekend down that way. And for Sunday through Tuesday, we can expect partly cloudy skies, highs in the 90s, lows in the 70s. So back to our typical summertime pattern, scattered afternoon and evening thunder showers. But we do have the light rain showers to moderate rain showers around our area. But it doesn't look like there's going to be enough precipitation to affect
to cause any more flooding
Right.
problems than we already have.
That's right.
Okay, thanks, Leanne. And we will be back with more of our extended flood watch coverage after this.
I'm homeless and clothless for right now, but hey, I can find some place to live and stay. I just want everybody to be safe. That's all I need. Yeah, the word I heard, yeah, everybody so far is getting out. Some people are just staying there out of stubbornness because there is their home. And of course they live on the second floor, so they don't figure it's going to get that hot. I ain't taking no chances. Mother Nature can never tell.
This is Rex Faulkner, owner of Faulkner Wholesale, inviting you to visit our showroom at 808 Pine Avenue. Take advantage of our free in-home estimates, lifetime warranties, and free installation on mini blinds, vertical blinds, wood blinds, pleated shades, carpet, vinyl, canvas, and vinyl awnings. We also have bar stools, dinette suites, baker's racks, and outdoor furniture. If you're looking for shutters, we have the ever-popular Joanna Plantation 2-inch and traditional with custom paint, stain, and install. So shop Faulkner Wholesale today at 808 Pine Avenue.
Atlanta. In 1996, the world will look to Georgia for the Summer Olympics. Join Ben Roberts next week on News Center 10. At 6 o'clock, Ben focuses on preparation for the games and their economic impact. At 11, Ben will use your questions to explore how to get tickets, the best venues, and other common points of interest. Send your questions to Spirit of 96, care of WALB, P.O. Box 3130, Albany, Georgia, 31706.
News Center 10's Yvette Jones joins us now. Yvette, you've been here all day. You've been going on throughout the day live with updates, informing the folks. Also, the city had a press conference that we carried live here on News Center 10 this afternoon. All of the city leaders, from the city manager, even the water, gas, and light director, the county administrator, even the airport manager. They all got together. They had a press conference today just informing the public about what was going on, and you were on the air live during that time. What kind of things were discussed there? What kind of information can you give us that came out of that media conference?
All right. I want to talk about something that we've talked about already in this newscast, coming from you as well as Assistant City Manager Janice Allen. Curfew is in effect. If you live within a quarter of a mile of the flooded areas, your curfew is from 7 p.m. to 8 a.m. All other areas in the city and the county, this includes everybody in the city and the county, your curfew is from sunset to sunrise. So we want to emphasize that. Also, information lines. If you have information about flooding situations, if you're stuck, if you just want to help out, that number is 431-2860. We've been giving that number out all day, and that is for flood questions, flood information, anything concerning the flood. Also, they're moving their command center to the old courthouse bin. So they're really trying to get the situation under control, get a center that they can actually man out of and send people where they need to go. A lot of people are asking to have the National Guard save their equipment. They're saying they're not saving equipment, they're saving lives. That is their main concern. We still have a lot of people stuck in a lot of different places, so life and limb, that's all they're concerned with at this point. Want to dispel some rumors. A lot of people think that they're going to blow up some dams, that some of the dams have burst. As far as my information is right here, no dams have burst. They're not going to blow up any dams. Also, people are concerned about the drinking water in Albany. It's fine. It's fine if they're concerned about the drinking water.
And WGNL, the manager of WGNL, Lim Edwards, said today during that press conference that not only is it fine now, but it should continue to be okay. The water system for the city of Albany is not threatened, which is, of course, very good news, because there are 300,000 Georgians in other places north of here, up in Americus, up throughout Bibb County, around Macon, who are either without water or water is in short supply. But Water, Gas, and Light says that our water here in the city of Albany is not threatened, and we'll be okay throughout this flood.
Right. Also, numerous shelters in the area. We mentioned Albany High, Doherty High, Mary Acres, numerous shelters in the area. They need cots and blankets, food, all kind of supplies. I have here pillows, towels, diapers, toiletries, toothbrushes, blankets, sheets, soap. Just all of those staples are needed at any shelter you can get them to. Also, water as well.
There was also an effort by some people in the community to try to get together and put people in their homes to try to make, rather than a shelter, which can be kind of a cold environment for a family, to try to open up their homes if they have an extra bedroom or two, to go by the shelter and see if a family would like to stay in a home. Also, that will relieve some of the strain from the shelters. And of course, these shelters could use toys, stuffed animals, books, things like that, as well as cots and blankets and food and water and supplies like that.
You're right, because this situation is taxing on the emotional the emotional side as well. One of the things you mentioned, talking about shelters, bringing books and things like that, and mentioning that it is not always a warm environment in those places. They urged at that meeting today that if you have family in this area and you can make it to a family member's house in the dry area, please go to the family member's house, because they said, it's not always a pleasant situation at those shelters, but at least if you are in the shelters, you are safe and you are dry. You were talking about a lot of people on the dry line. It almost seems like two different worlds. The city has really been split. Some bullet points that are coming into us. People are playing in the water. We've mentioned over and over and over again, please don't go out to just spectate. Please don't go out and play in the water. You don't know what may happen. There are all kinds of things in the water at this point, so we're asking that they don't do that.
And also, people have been going out in their boats to just sightsee. Not only can that be dangerous, but that can really also cause more damage. These homes that are already underwater, if numerous boats are going by causing wakes, that's beating against these homes and causing even more damage for these people who are flooded out. So please, as we say, just don't get out tonight, and certainly don't get out in these flood areas unless you are part of an organized volunteer effort. As we say, there is that curfew for the entire county from sunset to sunrise, and from 7 p.m. in just about 6 minutes until 8 a.m. for all areas that are within a quarter of a mile of a flooded area. And the police say they will strictly enforce that curfew tonight. Also, there is a curfew in Baconton from dusk to dawn tonight, and they say there that they will be strictly enforcing that curfew in Baconton as well.
And it is much needed. Also open for shelter, Mount Calvary Baptist Church, 1601 Gillespie. A number for them is 432-0438. Again, 432-0438. That is Mount Calvary Baptist Church. That's Lawrence Preston is the pastor there if you need shelter there. Another place, Evacuation Center in Doran open. It is fully staffed. They have showers, bathrooms, food, medicine, personal hygiene items available, and they can house up to 300 people. Follow Red Cross signs into Doran, they say, or stop at a police station. Those numbers rather, are 782-5441, 782-5441, 782-5444, 782-5444. And something I've been encouraging all day long, we will be cutting in throughout the night. We will just continue with our coverage, and I'm urging people to keep a pen and pad handy, because we'll always have numbers. They may not always appear on the screen, but we do have numbers that we want to throw out to you, and we want to make sure that if you need those particular numbers, that you have a pen and a piece of paper handy to get those numbers.
Okay. Thanks, Yvette, for all of your hard work today. And as Yvette said, we will be on the air. We were on the air all night last night, and we will continue to be on the air and break in with updates all night until this situation is over. Of course, we have much more to come in this edition, special edition of News Center 10. We will have more information on shelters that Yvette was talking about. We will tell you how you can apply for disaster aid if you need it. We'll also tell you how the floods are affecting farmers and agriculture, which is one of Georgia's primary industries. You know that. We'll have a live report on what's happening with that a little bit later. Right now, though, more evacuations for South Albany tonight, as the relentless Flint River is pushing its way through southwest Georgia. News Center 10's Nicole Bailey and photographer Carlton Christian have attempted by both car and boat to show you what some of South Albany looks like.
By boat, we were able to travel down the middle of the Washington Home Housing Project, now overtaken by the rushing Flint River. Reaching the corner of Cotton and Washington, we met one of probably several caskets floating from the Riverside Cemetery. Our boat pulled against the swift current of the Flint River as it passed down Washington Avenue. With DNR, we tried to travel to the flooded Oak Ridge and Martin Luther King areas, but the brewing afternoon storm kept us from the rising waters. Near the airport, the flooded waters increased its strength, causing some people to evacuate one more time. What do you think about all this? Has it come up really quick?
Yes, it did, because Sandbagging, we didn't get no warning or nothing. The water just came down the street, and we just grabbed what we could and left. So we've come out here to my sister's house. This is my baby sister. So now we got to move on further.
You're definitely getting out of here.
I'm definitely getting out right now. I have all my family that's been flooded out over on Sunny Lane, and we're moving farther.
Earlier this morning, rescue teams continued an all-night effort to pick up hundreds of people trapped in the Oak Ridge, Martin Luther King, Southwest Albany area. This morning, city transit buses continue to take those people to shelters around Albany.
After I got through working this morning, after I done stayed there all night, and now this, every time I hear on the scanner that they close by, I fire my gun, you know, hoping that they hear somebody here. And so this morning, after I heard something come by again, I looked down, they done passed my house and almost down the end, and I fired my weapon twice, and they say, "I heard you," and they turn around and pick me up.
As of late this afternoon, most families had evacuated from the South Gate, Sweetbriar, Empire Road area of South Albany. Floodwaters continue to push across various parts of Dougherty County roads and into homes. And if flooded roads and flooded homes isn't enough, Southwest Albany residents are also dealing with vandalism.
I'm going right here now on Sweetbriar to do some boarding up where somebody broke into the latest house last night.
At this time, it's hard to determine just how much more water will flood South Albany. Nicole Bailey, News Center 10, South Albany.
Some dramatic rescues in that area this afternoon. Now, Blue Springs Road and Lily Pond Road, those areas are now blocked off. Reports of at least 6 feet of water in some homes there. Well, News Center 10's Dave Nethers, of course, has been reporting live and following this situation for us all day. He's down at the Civic Center where a massive relief effort, lots of volunteers are still down there working to help their neighbors, working to help flood victims. And Dave joins us live again now with an update. Dave?
Right, they're continuing to fill these sandbags, and I'm going to move aside and let Otis Malone give you another shot of the folks out here. Just as far as I can see, you know, I'm not that tall, but as far as I can see, there are people here working to fill these sandbags. And let me give you another good reason to come out here and maybe volunteer. Exercise. These things are not real light, but they're not terribly heavy either. I think one person, maybe you, could perhaps come out here and do some of this afternoon, lose some weight. Janice Allen is here with us again. Janice, in some serious business now. We want to talk about East Albany. In East Albany, what is the situation there?
Okay, yes, we have had some evacuations and some flooding in those areas. Just to give you a rundown on some of the subdivisions so people know what's going on. Riverview subdivision has been evacuated. Turner Job Corps, as far as we know, is safe over there. They were dependent on the sewer system, and as long as that holds out, they'll be able to stay. Several blocks of Clark Avenue have been evacuated. The Beachview Drive, excuse me, and Cromartie Beach Drive, several blocks of both of those streets have been evacuated. Putney area, it's beginning to flood down there. We've evacuated people. Also, Holly Drive, we've done some evacuation in that area. And the area between Moultrie Road and Radium Springs Road, we know west of Radium Springs, we did a lot of evacuation yesterday and day before. We've done some evacuation also on the west side of Radium Springs between Moultrie Road. And also Easttown subdivision, Lyons Avenue, Hobson, those streets in that area, we've done evacuation there, as well as Broadway and Broadway Court.
Okay. I know we had one person call the TV station today because she heard somebody on a bullhorn outside her house say it's time to evacuate. She called us to ask us if she should. Let's give these folks an answer right now. If they hear the call to evacuate, no time to spare.
We do not run bullhorns up the street unless we feel like it is very, very likely to flood. So people should take that as a measure of caution and do what they think is best. That means that you're strongly, strongly encouraged to leave.
Okay. One more thing we want to talk about real quick here is utilities. Yvette has mentioned tonight the water supply is safe, the water supply is all right. How about electricity? I know when the water starts to rise, they pull gas meters on these houses. But how about water and gas and the rest of our utilities here?
Right now, the water supply, as you said, is safe and it's adequate. We have had to shut down 3 of our wells, but we have substations set up to handle that. On the electric side, we've lost 4 of our substations, and the power has been out in some areas, but we hope to have that restored by rerouting the current. The operations center of WGNL is down at the waterfront on Front Street. It is underwater right now, but we're trying to handle that by rerouting the current, and we think that we'll have it all under control by the end of the day today.
Also, right in the floodplain is the water treatment plant. What about the sanitary sewers, and should people still consider conserving flushes?
We still are asking people to conserve flushing. Right now, the water treatment plant is under a great deal of water. We have had some sandbagging there, and that's protected a good deal of it. But it is not able to process all the water coming through, so some of it is going straight into the river. Please try to conserve that. Please try to conserve usage of water just in case. We want to be on the safe side here. As a final reminder, I'd like to tell people that when this water is rising, there are snakes that are coming up with it. So as you go back into your areas, as you step out into waters, you know, that may not be high enough to get into your house, but still high, there could be a lot of snakes in those areas, so be extremely careful.
Okay, thank you very much, Janice Allen. Again, the Assistant City Manager and the Communications Officer throughout this entire disaster operation. Ben, I want to talk to our neighbors now who are to the south of us, those people in Newton, those people in Bainbridge, and the other areas where this water is heading next. All of the advice that you hear us giving out for the people here in Albany, for your neighbors here in Albany, is going to be good advice for you folks when the water starts to get there. When the water starts rushing into your area, if you're advised to evacuate, please evacuate. If the water is high in your neighborhoods, don't venture out into it. Do not go out into the water. All of the advice that you hear us giving your neighbors here in Albany, heed that advice also where you live if you see the water coming up. Back to you, Ben.
Okay, Dave, thank you very much for that live update. And of course, if you do see water coming around in your area, the best advice we can give is go on and pack up and get out of town, or get out of the area. If you have questions, you can call us here at the TV station, and we will try to give you as accurate as information as we can. However, it's difficult for us to predict just exactly where these floodwaters are going to go and if they will rise up into your home. But you can call us here at the station. You can call the emergency number 431-2860 that we have been telling you about. But the best advice we can give you is just use your common sense. If you see water coming towards your house and it seems to be rising, the floodwaters are still rising right now and probably will continue to rise for a little bit longer. So if there is water headed towards your home, you might want to consider packing up and moving to a shelter. As we said earlier, the floods have caused many businesses, childcare and schools, things of that nature to close. We have another list of closings for you right now. As Janice Allen said just a couple of minutes ago, there have been evacuations all throughout East Albany, even down into Putney. They began evacuating that area last night between the railroad tracks and the river last night because, or early this morning really, because of floodwaters there. There is now a shelter open in Putney. If you have already been forced from your home in Putney, or you feel like you need to leave your home to stay safe, there is a shelter open in Putney at the Putney United Methodist Church on Duro Avenue. They are preparing right now to have that shelter open tonight, so you can go to the First Methodist Church in Putney. And of course, we will have a full listing of some shelters all around the area for you in just a little while. We will continue with more special News Center 10 Flood Watch coverage after this.
You feel kind of safe right now at this point?
Yeah, little prayer and cross fingers, cross toes, yeah.
You just feel kind of helpless in a situation like this?
Yes, it's kind of like being on Gilligan's Island, I guess.
It's amazing how many ways people are using brine smokies today. Here's one from a lady. It's kebabs made with brine smokies and brine smoky jambalaya. This is called a smoky taco salad. That ought to be real good. They're very versatile. You can use them with rice and make a sort of a Cajun dish, you know. They have a hickory smoke flavor and they have a great taste. They're really a lot of fun to eat. The recipes are great, but I like them the old-fashioned way. You know, just eat them like this.
In the year 6, the vacationing Ben-Hur and his family, Marcia, Lucy, and Ben Jr., rented the first family-sized chariot from Thrifty for just a few e pluribus unums.
It's vacation season. Call for reservations and information.
For worldwide reservations, contact your professional travel agent or 1-800-4CARS. Fact is, Thrifty's been renting cars at low prices since the very beginning. Your neighborhood Thrifty Car Rental, historically known for low rates.
So the paper says Congress is moving ahead on health care reform.
If they can just cover everyone.
But they're talking price controls.
Right. Government-imposed spending limits for every region of the country.
So if our plan runs out of money...
Rationing, the way I read it. You know, long waits for health care and some services not even available.
Government-controlled health care. Congress can do better than that.
They will if we send them that message.
For facts you need to send Congress a message, call today.
You want to know about my budget? Well, 2 kids with braces, 2 cars with 6 months to live, a mortgage the size of Mount Rushmore. Let's see, soccer uniforms, insurance. My budget needs some serious help. mention the credit cards?
The flood of the century is moving south. South Georgians downstream from Albany see the destruction here, and they are already evacuating. News Center 10's Jerry Gunn reports from Newton, where city and county offices have been vacated.
They wasted no time emptying City Hall in Newton this morning. Everything had to go, everything but the building itself. Across the street, the Baker County Courthouse is already empty.
Most of the people are getting out. It's really, I think they're just don't want to believe that it's going to happen, and everybody's telling us that it is. You know, we got to move because the water's expected to get so high this time.
U.S. geological surveyors measured the river depth this morning. At 11 a.m., the Flint at the Newton Bridge had reached flood stage at 25 feet. The water is expected to go another 20 feet higher by Monday. South of Newton, Effie and Charlie Fulgham wondered if they should leave. They're on high ground, but the Chickasahatchee Creek keeps getting closer. The creek now looks like a lake.
I don't think I'm going to move. I'm going to stay here as long as I can.
I ain't never seen it like this before in my life.
You going to get out or what?
I hope not.
That's my ball.
But you can't tell.
Dorothy Gibbons says she and her husband heard about the high water, but disbelief brought no action until it was too late.
And water coming in the house, and we lost everything, the car, the truck, the furniture, the house, everything.
This is Old Highway 19 in Mitchell County, just below the Dougherty County line. Yesterday, about this time, this road was dry. Houses near here were untouched by the water. But that was yesterday. There is rushing water where there was none at Rex Madding's house on Thronatiska Way and at other houses nearby. Barbara Cabato, her daughter, son-in-law, and 13-week-old grandson are staying at the Red Cross shelter in Camilla at First Baptist Church. The flood took her home in Putney.
We called several shelters in Albany, and they were full up, and so we called the sheriff's department in Camilla, and he said the Baptist church here was open.
Inside the courthouse in Newton, there's a high water mark from 1925 when the 41-foot high river washed in. The flood of 1994 will leave its own mark on this town. Jerry Gunn, News Center 10, Newton.
Mayor Johnson says the Newton City Hall will temporarily relocate to the office of Jack Henderson. The Baker County Sheriff's Department has moved to the new jail site. Evacuations have been ordered for all riverside homes in Decatur County, south of Baker County. Although the raging floodwaters have not entered the county or the city of Bainbridge yet, the water level is rising, and officials are urging residents to get out now. If you have any questions about evacuations there, you can call the Civil Defense Director for Decatur County, Earl McGrotha, at 248-3001, 248-3002, or 248-3003. The number's on your screen. Bainbridge Police are also telling people who may have businesses and homes that are under 103 feet sea level to evacuate. If you're uncertain about having to leave Decatur County or the city of Bainbridge, you can call the Bainbridge Police Department for more information. That number is 248-2020. Roads in and out of Americus remain closed, and Sumter County Sheriff Randy Howard is asking people to stay off the highways. Sumter County Police have had to deal with 4 different accidents since yesterday because people tried to cross roads that were closed. Roads in Americus and in Sumter County remain badly damaged from where water has forced bridges to collapse. The sheriff says it will be months before the roads are fixed and accessible again. Meanwhile, shelters remain open for flood victims. Most homes in the county are still without water, and the National Guard has set up watering points at Perlis Plaza, the National Guard Armory, and at the First Baptist Church. Sumter County authorities have found yet another body today. The name of that victim has not been released. They are continuing their search at this hour for missing people off Highway 27 East and Highway 280 West. Yesterday, 8-year-old Courtney Hawkins was found dead. His father's body was found Wednesday. His brother, 16-year-old Kedrick Hawkins, is still missing and presumed dead. Sheriff Randy Howard says that possibly 5 other people remain unaccounted for. Here is a list of those who have died in Americus and Sumter County. The death toll there now stands at 12. ever seen. Tens of thousands remain homeless tonight from Crisp County all the way south to Bainbridge. This is video of the Warwick Dam on Lake Blackshear, which was breached today. Part of the dam is eroding, sending even more water south, but it should not make the flood situation in Albany significantly worse. It is hard to imagine it could get worse, with parts of our city never even threatened by floodwaters in hundreds of years, now under feet of water. This is video from Bainbridge. Even though the floodwaters have not gotten nearly as bad as they will in Bainbridge, homes are already underwater there, and it will only get worse. Good evening, I'm Ben Roberts, and this is a special edition of News Center 10's Flood Watch coverage. Tonight we will show you damage in all areas of the city of Albany, plus cities to our north and south. We'll go along with Governor Zell Miller as he visits some shelters in the Albany area. We'll talk to volunteers that are helping their neighbors, and we will see how emergency officials are working together during this incredible time of need. Right now, though, here in Albany, we are experiencing some heavy showers that could cause some problems in places that already have water in them or near them, places like over on Dawson Road where the floodwaters have come right up to the road. These heavy downpours could cause some flash flooding because the water simply has nowhere to drain. Meteorologist Leanne Pope joins us live now from the Weather Center with an update on the current weather situation. Leanne?
Thanks, Ben. At 5:45, the National Weather Service radar indicated some numerous thunderstorms located over southeast Albany. You can see these thunderstorms. They extend from around Moultrie into the Albany area. They're moving to the north at about 10 miles per hour. So these storms are moving to the north. It's not going to rise the rivers any higher, but those areas where it is where there are floodwaters that might cause a little bit of a problem, we can expect these to be around for about another hour to 2 hours. So we do have the strong storms. They are moving to the north at about 10 miles per hour, some of them dropping some heavy rain. They're just hampering the workers out there right now, just causing problems for them. It's not going to cause your rivers to be any higher, but we are going to have more rain. This is moving to the north at about 10 miles per hour with the heaviest of the rain from around Moultrie over to Dougherty County. It's moving northward, so if you're north of Albany, you can expect to experience these in the next few minutes if you're just to the north of Albany, and they're going to continue to move to the north over the next hour to 2 hours. I'll have your complete forecast. If there are any changes, we'll let you know about it, but now we'll go back to Ben.
Okay, thanks, Leanne, for that live update on the current situation. As we told you, we will be having some live reports all around Albany. We will be showing you damage from North Albany, from South Albany, from East Albany, from West Albany. But right now, we want to tell you about Newton, which is south of Albany. That's where the floodwaters right now are rising most rapidly. South of Albany, in Newton, that city is flooded in the downtown area. News Center 10's Jerry Gunn went on a boat ride in downtown Newton today. A boat ride where yesterday you could have driven a car.
Water Street, an ironic name for a street in Newton today. There is nothing but water covering streets, houses, buildings. Here is Newton City Hall Friday morning. Here is Newton City Hall this morning, 24 hours later. And just across the street, the Flint River has surrounded and is pouring into the Baker County Courthouse. The 1925 flood brought 41 feet of water to town. Newton Mayor Pro Tem Jack Henderson remembers the 1966 flood. It was nothing like this. Nothing.
It's a lot higher than the rock wall was out of the water in 1966 around the courthouse, and it's completely submerged now, so it's a lot deeper already, and we still got 2 days to go.
The National Weather Service reports 36.5 feet at 12:30 in Newton today. The river rose 16 feet since Friday, enough to drown a town. Newton is already a sinking city today. At least 8 feet of water in the courthouse, at City Hall, several downtown buildings, and a number of homes. But there was at least one bright spot to the boat trip that Jack Henderson took this morning. County commissioners asked Henderson to check the town, keep track of the damage, but compassion led him to rescue a stranded dog. He also spotted a stranded cat, forlorn and frightened, peering from a flooded house window. The cat chose not to get into the boat with the dog. Dangerous and damaging. The Weather Service phrase fits well.
There's going to be a lot of cleaning up and a lot of pretty swift. if there's going to be a lot of cleaning up to do, and there's going to be a lot of damage to do. A lot of damage to these buildings and homes and offices, and I just don't know what they're going to do, because a lot of these people are low-income people, and they don't have, some of them's already told me they don't have any insurance, and they're going to lose everything they got.
Henderson says 90% of Newton's people evacuated. The remaining 10% cope with no power, cut off late last night, and no water. And a river crest of 45 feet will bring 10 more feet of water to town.
It'll never be the same, never. The courthouse, I think, will be lost completely. So, my grandmother's home on the front street there is just, well, it's this deep already, so she won't have anything left.
Musgrove says business is brisk at her package store on high ground away from downtown. Business owners and residents restored power with their own generators. Business was also brisk at the gas pumps. Newton remembers past floods that were dangerous and damaging. Now it has another one, more dangerous and damaging than anything before. Jerry Gunn, News Center 10, Newton.
Some late word to pass along to you. The City of Albany is appealing for more volunteers to come down to the Civic Center to fill sandbags. All this rain that we are experiencing right now apparently has scared some volunteers away. Some folks who were there have dispersed. But the city emergency folks say that they still have many more sandbags to fill. The river is still rising, and it may rise as much as another couple of feet before it crests tonight. So they say that they still have a lot of sandbags to fill. They need the volunteers. Please don't let the rain scare you away. Go down to the Civic Center and help in this volunteer effort. News Center 10's Dave Nethers has been out and about covering this flood all day. He is over at Albany State College in East Albany right now and joins us live with a report. Dave, what is the situation like over at ASC? It's underwater, isn't it?
Yeah, Ben, it's just as we've described over the last several days with shots from the air, and I'm going to step out of the picture and allow Otis Malone to show you your first glimpse live now of the college from the ground as he pans over, and we'll try to identify some of these buildings. It's really tragic. As you can see right now, that is the Criminal Justice Building. The water is up to the top of the first floor windows of the Criminal Justice Building there. In the background, you see a men's dormitory on campus. And as Otis scans the campus here, you see there the gymnasium, the swimming pool. Ironically, I don't mean for this to be funny, but it all looks like a swimming pool right here. You see the Student Center there, and in back of it, of course, Peace Hall and some of the other buildings on campus. In the foreground here is a building that just the rooftop is sticking out. As far as we know still, the only building on campus that doesn't have water in it is the new library, and that perhaps is the only good thing about this. This is really, really, really a sad scene over here, and we've seen it from the air. This is the first look that we've had from the ground. We were able, with the help of the Georgia State Patrol today, to make it over here to East Albany, a place that's so close and yet now seems so far away. And Otis and I had a chance to go into the Cromartie Beach area and Beachview Drive and view some of the homes over there that are now underwater. And this is the scene that we saw in the neighborhood. This is water that these homeowners never expected to come into their neighborhood, although Beachview Drive in the Cromartie Beach area is on the floodplain map. And some of the folks there told us that they were warned by some Georgia Power people that the water might get this high. They also said they really never expected to, didn't believe that it would. It's a scene that's repeated itself over and over again all over the city of Albany. East Albany has been devastated in areas just as South Albany and other areas of the city have. The people here, many of them say that they feel as if they have been neglected in some ways because of the separation of East and West Albany, because there's no traffic on the bypass, there's no traffic crossing the bridges. The police department is over here. They do have a mobile command center set up in the what used to be the Roses Shopping Center. Roses is not there anymore, but in the Roses Shopping Center here, and there are state patrolmen over here patrolling the area. These people who live on Beachview Drive would like very much to see the Department of Natural Resources. They have not seen the Department of Natural Resources there, and they say really the police presence has not been what they've liked, but they were happy to see us over here today. They have not been forgotten, I can assure you of that. I'm just going to let this tape roll and allow you to get an appreciation for what we saw today. Along Riverside Drive. Beachview Drive, I'm sorry. Some of the homes are on stilts, and some of the homes are built on a little higher ground, so the water's only really come to the front doorsteps, even though you'll see the mailbox in the foreground almost underwater. While we were out in our boat, we felt a little bump at one point, and we want to thank Bobby Miller for taking us around in a boat today to show us his neighborhood. But well, we felt a little bump, and he said, "Oh, I know what that is. That's a shed, completely submerged right underneath us. That's a home, and you can see the water is all the way up to the eaves of that house." I understand the woman who lives there did get out. Most of these people did. All of these people did get out in time. Nobody hurt over here, fortunately. But it's really tragic. Now, this is a scene. You're looking at the golf course in near Turner Field, which is also underwater. And many spectators coming out to view this. Just an awesome sight for them. And also there are 4 shelters open here in East Albany. I'm told that there are 350 people right now at Doherty High in East Albany, and they come and go. There are 350 people a night at the Doherty High School, but David Gant, who is the Operations Center coordinator over there, says that they're never really the same 350 people. Some of them leave and others come back, but he says all of them are people who have been affected by this flood, who have been displaced in one way or another by this flood. The Georgia Power Dam under a good bit of water. Okay, we're back live now here at Albany State College. One of the most amazing things that we've seen today in touring the Cromartie Beach area and Beachview Drive is the fact that some of the families over there who have houses on stilts, or who have 2-level houses, that have chosen to stay in their homes. There are several families over there that who have said they're not leaving their houses, and they are staying on the 2nd floor of their house. They have no electricity. We spoke with them about their experiences.
Well, this is my home, and I wanted to stay here with it, and if anything was going to happen, I wanted to do what I could.
What about work the last couple of days?
Well, it came up so quick. My neighbor down here, whose house is completely in the water, Tommy Darcy, he called me up at 5:45. I got up at 4 o'clock in the morning and went down there, and the water was normal. And at 5:45, he called up and said it was on his front step, but I come down there and help him. And I went down there, helped him for about 30 minutes, and I ran back up here. And by the time I got back up here, the water was just in the yard. And I had my boat there ready to go, thinking I was going to have a day or so, you know, to get everything out. And we started piling stuff on the boat, and then all of a sudden the water was coming in the swimming pool, and then all of a sudden it was coming in the driveway, and then all of a sudden we were in the canoe, and it just happened so quick.
Well, I had one of the tallest houses around here, and I felt like maybe that if I stayed, and I might could look after stuff for other folks.
Mm-hmm. How do you feel about all of this?
Well, it's not made me very happy, but there's not a whole lot I can do about it. Mm-hmm. You know, just have to make the best of it.
Mm-hmm. Is this something that you ever expected might happen?
No, never expected anything like this at all.
No, I've been living in Albany a long time, and I've seen a lot of water on Whispering Pines, and even out here. Seen a lot of water out here, but I never thought this, and I was one of the diehards.
Okay. Fact is, nobody has seen this much water, and it's devastating here in East Albany. Just been as it has been all over the city, and we hope to bring you more stories from this side of the river today and as time goes on. Ben, back to you.
Okay, Dave, thank you very much for that live report. Don't go away. We will be back with more of our special Flood Watch coverage right after this.
The video from the other side, same area, just south of Oak Ridge Boulevard. We're just now flying south, and I believe that's a billboard there in the left corner just going out of your spring, and you can see just how high the water is there. And coming up there, you see some submerged cars, and we're about to go just south of the Marine Corps Canal. We believe this is in the Blue Water Drive vicinity. There you see water up to the rooftops on some homes, and some homes just almost totally submerged in water, other having water up midway through the doors back towards Roxana Drive. This is, I believe, the Camellia Apartments on Holly Drive. You see water across the road. Some of the apartments have not been flooded, some have. As we continue to fly, this is Roxana Drive, and you're about to see Radium Springs Elementary School. It has water on the road, but as far as we could tell from the air, no water in Radium Springs Elementary. This is Radium Springs Middle School. You see there's some water in the entrance there and some water on the road, but Radium Springs Middle School is all right. Doherty County School Superintendent Dr. Bill Gardner got in the helicopter after I did to take a tour of schools. This is by the Radium Springs Country Club. You cannot see the golf course. It's under my feet from where I'm shooting. These are some homes, water up to the rooftops. You could see just maybe one green of Radium Springs Golf Course, the Country Club building underwater. This is southeast Doherty baseball field. You see this is dry, but as we go into Putney now, this is south of Merck Chemical. I cannot tell you what roads they are, and I don't want to tell you inaccurately, but this is south of Merck Chemical in Putney towards the river's bank, and you can see just how high the water is right there, almost covering most of the homes that you see in this video. Again, this is south of Merck Chemical in the Putney area, southwest a little bit off of Radium Springs Road. As you move east, the damage there, the water's didn't travel that far to the east. And now we're going to come up, and as we take a wide shot, we'll be flying over Merck, the chemical plant itself, and show you that the water is not there. You can see the water in the far back at the top of your screen, but Merck Chemical so far not affected nor damaged by this flood. Here we have, you saw Dave Nethers at Albany State College. This is today's view from the college, and as you can see, an absolutely incredible sight as the water is in so many buildings. And we had a call last night from one of the Polecat employees wanting to know about Polecat Park. Well, fortunately, Polecat Park has been spared so far in this flood, and if we don't have any more rising in the water, then I guess that the brand new baseball facility, or rather new facility, will be all right. And as we come over, here's a look at the dam from the air. Dave Nethers able to get over to the east side and show you some video of the water coming over the dam. And coming up the railroad trestle, if you've ever gone across the Flint River Bridge and look down and see the railroad trestle, water covering the bottom of it, and an absolutely unbelievable sight. And this, we believe, off of Old Leesburg Road, south of the bypass. We think this is the Albany Flea Market, and you can see the water there crossing the railroad tracks. Some water in and around downtown Albany, north of the intersections of Pine Avenue, Flint Avenue, on Washington Street. Water coming in that back parking lot behind the fire department. But as for downtown, around the governmental building and the Justice building, everything is okay. So there you see a little bit of what's going on in Radium Springs. Water up at about the top of the door at the casino. Homes in the Radium Springs Country Club area just totally have water up to the roofs. The golf course, I looked down, I could see one flag on the golf course, and the clubhouse area where the pool is just has water up to the roofs, and it was just an unbelievable sight to get up in the air and just to see that destruction.
Was there very much activity out there?
I could not see any activity. Some areas in Radium Springs, there's not even any water, but around at the intersection of Holly Drive and Radium Springs Road to the north and to the south, there is a lot of water. But as you move back towards 19, the flooding is not that bad.
Okay.
But it is bad in that area. We do want to point out some areas are all right, but there are some areas that are flooded and they have damage. And like we said, when we do this, we try to show you specific points of reference, and we use them from our own. It's not easy to tell which road is which from the air, and there's some areas down there that are covered with trees, and it was difficult to see, but we did the best we could.
Okay, good job. Thanks a lot, Robert. Well, Southwest Georgia Regional Airport has been keeping a close eye on the floodwaters spilling over portions of Newton Road for more than 24 hours. Airport Director Mike Armour says even if water reaches the airport, runway operations should be open as usual. Armour says the water should drain off into a county-maintained drainage canal near runway 22. The airport is also equipped with 2 emergency generators, including one for runway lights. Armour says despite the flood, there has been an unusual amount of both incoming and outgoing air traffic. Albany police have identified the 4-year-old New Jersey boy found in the backseat of a submerged car yesterday afternoon. Kason Mallory of Jersey City, New Jersey, was one of 7 people in a car that drove past a barricade at Slappy Boulevard interchange on the Liberty Bypass late Thursday night. Water running across the road swept the vehicle off the road and into water more than 20 feet deep. 5 of the car's passengers were rescued from trees. Kason Mallory and his 2-year-old brother Shabazz Mallory did not make it out of the car. The 2-year-old Shabazz is presumed to be dead, but his body was not in the car when it was recovered. Authorities say it is too dangerous to search for the 2-year-old until the water goes down. The boy's father, Stanley Mallory, was driving the car. He has told police that he got on the bypass at Dawson Road and did not see the barricades at the Slappy exit. Just some general information throughout the newscast. We will be passing along some little tidbits of information that we are getting in all the time as the day progresses. Robert showed you some video over at Polecat Park. It is not flooded, but the areas around there are flooded. The Polecats have suspended all games until further notice, and their baseball camp has also been canceled. We've been telling you about all the shelters that are open. There are also a lot of individuals who are opening their homes, and if you need to evacuate your home, or if the shelters are getting too crowded for you and you want a little more homey place to stay, there are some individuals who are opening their homes. There are some homes provided by SGE Mortgage Company in Tifton. If you're interested, you can call Wanda Sparks at 386-5388, 386-5388. There will be no fee for at least 30 days. Also, Joanne Binney on West Highland Avenue in Albany. She's opening up her home for a family. The number to reach her is 438-0737, 438-0737, and you might want to just try to keep a pad and pencil available if you think you'll need any of these numbers. The Victory Tabernacle on the east side of the river and the New Covenant Church on the west side of the river are both serving as distribution centers for authorized Red Cross centers. The New Covenant and Victory Tabernacle both in need of donations such as food and milk, as are all of the shelters. They do need plenty of donations, food, bottled water, blankets, pillows, cots, things of that nature. Hauling refuse and city sanitation crews, they began trying to pick up some garbage today, and they will also, I believe, be trying to pick up garbage tomorrow, since they were not, they did not pick up the last couple of days. They're trying to catch back up. So if you have garbage, if you live in a dry area, go on and get your garbage out. And they are trying to pick up the garbage, hauling refuse, and the city of Albany. We told you a little bit earlier about the Warwick Dam up on Lake Blackshear. It has been eroding, and there is now somewhat of a hole in the earthen dam that is allowing some water to go through. Our meteorologist Gilpatrick is here now to bring us up to date on just what is going on over there in Warwick and how it could affect us.
It could have been a lot worse than it is. I mean, it could have been a lot worse than it was. The dam was breached. Excuse me, we were talking earlier. Breached means erosion.
Right.
Well, it was eroding. And we got some. I believe we've got some video of the dam, and we can look down, and you'll be able to see. We'll not be able to see the dam because the water was running over the dam at the time, and that was good because when the earthen dam eroded, the water of the lake was the same as the river. So when that land eroded, the water just went over there. I mean, it just we heard about bursting and all the surges and all that. Didn't happen. It's not going to. But thank goodness that the dam and the lake were at the same level. Had they not been, it would have been some problems. But they're the same. There we are right here. Now you can see right there the water going over the dam and into the river, and it's basically at the same level. That's why when the earthen part of the dam eroded, there was nothing much to come down river because they were already at the same level. Now what we will see now, let me say this, what we will see is about 6 inches to 12 inches of extra water. Now what that will do, now I don't want to alarm you with that, that's a lot of water, but what that will do, it'll be stretched out over so vast an area that it will be hardly noticed. I mean, you're hardly going to notice this. But what this thing is also going to do, it is going to possibly have our crest time. You know, they were saying crest at 45 to 46 feet today. Now we're saying 45 to 46 feet tonight. I'm saying 45 to 46 feet between midnight and 8 o'clock in the morning. And we'll see how that all works out. But when it first happened at 5:30 this morning, there were a lot of jumping people and some scared people around it because we thought, oh, the dam has let go. This is all kind. But the river and the lake were the same level. That's what made the difference.
Water level was already so high that it's really not.
It was already going
not
over the dam. It was like you had 5 locks open on a dam, and you say, well, it's going over the dam. I'm going to open the 6th one. So you open the 6th one, nothing would happen. You'd still have water going over the dam. So there you go.
All right.
I don't mean to make that so simple, but I mean it is simple.
Well,
really.
yeah, you're right. It is, and the
but
main
a lot of people worry.
Right, but the main point we need to make is it's really not going to have any severe effect. We're already as flooded as we can get, really, and so this is really not going to make too much of a difference.
I wouldn't say we're as flooded as we're going to get because we are going to get worse. What else I wanted to say, and then I'll shut up. At 4 o'clock this afternoon, the Flint River was reading 41.3 feet. Now that's going down, believe it or not. At Oakfield, the Flint River has been rising for the last 2 feet today at Oakfield.
And that's between us and the dam.
That's right. Oakfield is closer to that water, that extra water that came over the dam and went around a little more, come down a little faster. That's what's at Oakfield. It's got to come here. So we're at 41.3. We're going to rise. How high? I'm saying 45 to 46 feet between midnight and 8 o'clock in the morning. National Weather Service says midnight. So we'll see.
Okay, all right. We'll keep an eye on it. Thanks a lot, Gil. And meteorologist Christina Abernathy has been keeping a close eye on all of these flood stages, not only here at the Flint, but up at Lake Blackshear and other places. And she's here now with an update on just where the stages are now and where they are expected to go.
Okay, first of all, we want to talk about what's going on at the Kinchafuni at Dawson and Leesburg. Now, it crested at 26.6 feet on Friday. It's already crested. The Kinchafuni is expected to fall below flood stage Monday. This afternoon at 12:30, it was at 18.7 feet, and it's expected to decline below flood stage, which is 13 feet, on Monday, July 11th. Now, Albany, as Gil said, the level at 4 o'clock, 41.3 feet. Now it is expected to continue rising. It will continue to rise and crest between 45 and 46 feet sometime after midnight. And of course, many homes and businesses have been damaged severely from the floodwaters, and we want to remind everyone that when the floodwaters do begin to recede, residents should take precautions due to broken utility lines, washed out roads, and snakes. Now, the Flint River at Newton, dangerous and record floodwaters will develop as a record crest of 45 feet approaches and passes through Newton on July 11th. Protect your property now. At 12:30 this afternoon, the reading at Newton was 36.5 feet. The Flint will continue to rise very sharply as the flood wave continues to move closer to the area over the next several days. Once again, a record flood crest of 45 feet should be reached Monday, July 11th. Now is the time to protect your property and your life. The Flint River at Bainbridge. It is at 8 a.m. this morning. It was at 30 feet. Dangerous and damaging record flood crest of 45 feet will reach Bainbridge on July 13th. Of course, now is the time to protect your life and property. The river level should climb to 35 feet Sunday and crest near 45 feet on July 13th. Numerous locations near the river at Bainbridge have been flooded. The amount of damage will only get worse as floodwaters continue to rise. Now, at the Flint River at Montezuma, the Flint River crested at a record level of 35 feet Friday and has begun falling. It's going to continue to fall and decline below flood stage on Thursday, July 14th. Once again, residents should take precautions due to broken utility lines, washed out roads, and snakes. Now, Lake Blackshear, of course, as Gil explained, there was some, the dam did breach. It's 10 to 12 feet above normal this morning, and we're seeing at 10 to 12 feet above normal. Now, on to our next graphic at Hawkinsville. We are seeing the Ocmulgee at Hawkinsville. The river will reach a record flood crest of 43 to 44 feet on July 10th. And of course, extensive flooding will result. Protect your life and property now. The stage at 8 o'clock this morning, 40.73 feet. The cresting at 40 to 43 feet on Sunday, July 10th is expected. Damaging flooding has occurred at Hawkinsville as well as up and down the river. Now the Ocmulgee at Abbeville. Record flood crest of 23 feet is expected Tuesday, July 12th. At 12 noon today, it was at 17.2 feet. The river will continue rising steadily and should crest near 23 feet on Tuesday, July 12th. The flood wave moving down the Ocmulgee will be a threat to people's life and property, and it will crest at 23 feet on Tuesday, July 12th. Now the Muckalee. Unfortunately, there is no gauge on the Muckalee, so we're not able to give much information on that, unfortunately. And we also want to give you some information about what's going on at the Chattahoochee at George Locken Dam. It's expected to fall sharply and fall below flood stage Sunday, July 10th, and the Chattahoochee at Andrews should be below the flood stage this afternoon. That's what was expected, but until the tailwater drops below 92 feet, small streams and backwater channels feeding into the Chattahoochee will remain flooded. The river level should fall below 92 feet on July 12th, and unfortunately we don't have much information on the Itchaway, Notchaway, but the National Weather Service tells me that it should have crested today at 27 to 28 feet.
Okay, thanks a lot, Christina, and we'll continue to follow this because the river is still rising here in Albany. Okay, thanks a lot. News Center 10's Lisa Smith. We showed you some video out above Radium Springs earlier today. News Center 10's Lisa Smith has been down on the ground out there, actually in a boat. Is that right, Lisa?
Yeah, that's true, Ben. Myself and my photographer Arnold Sinclair went down to the Radium Springs area to see some of that footage there. I hear, obviously, at Albany State College behind me, where Dave Nethers reported earlier there was no water in the new library, but he tells me that's not true. There is some water in the new library, and they did find that within just 35 minutes of the breach of the blockade there, the water was up to 6 feet deep. But I see right now we have some footage of the Radium Springs casinos, and that's where we put in the boat. The Department of Natural Resources was kind enough to carry us down there to just see what kind of damage has been going on in that area. We're riding around with Ranger Larry Turner, and we put the boat in at Holly Drive and South Hibiscus Road. And you can see in this footage as we come down there that the floodwaters are at least, we figured to be about 6 to 8 feet deep. They're up to many of the street signs in that area. And I myself was down there with a crew just on Wednesday evening where there were lots of residents in that area, and they took it seriously, living right there by Radium Springs. They were evacuating quickly. Now, some didn't have the chance to get out as much as they possibly could that evening, but because they were having difficulty getting trucks. But you can see there's a lot of water damage in that area. As we were speaking to the ranger from the Department of Natural Resources, he says one of the concerns that why they don't want people in boats out on these floodwaters is that, as you can see, the water is up to some of the windows in some of these houses, and when the boats come by, they create a wake. That wake can break out the windows if it's, an unprofessional driver out there. And doing so, it would then cause the windows to break and the belongings from the house to flood out onto the floodwaters. And that is Ranger Larry Turner there, you see there, and he was kind enough to take us out. He also said that in this area, he's evacuated most of the people in this area. He did have to rescue, not him personally, but the Department of Natural Resources had to rescue some people. Most came out on Thursday, but a few came out on Friday. We did run across, I'd say, 4 people were still down there, and they tell me there were 2 others still down there. They don't have any power down there. They're working on their own generator. They do have water service to the area, and they say they're just going to stick it out. They are watching the water levels, and they say as long as they're packed up, they're ready to go, and as long as the water doesn't continue to keep rising at a rapid rate, that they're just going to stay with their homes. They do see street signs there, and they are kind of flooded out. And as I said, I was down here just 3 days ago, and the situation was that people were taking it seriously and getting out whenever they possibly could. In talking with the ranger, he said that some people have tried to go back into their homes thinking that they've forgotten something that is really critical for them to have. And he emphasizes that really, if you're out, you should please stay out. Your life is really more important, and he encourages that because some people have gone back for belongings, he tells us, and then they get trapped, they get stuck, and they end up having to call for help. He says, and when that happens, the only thing they can do is really get up on their roofs, up above the water, and call to a Department of Natural Resources helicopter, perhaps like the one we can hear in the background here, or they have the boat patrols of the Department of Natural Resources going by and checking to see if there are people who are in danger and rescuing them at that time. As we said, Robert Heydrich was showing you some footage from the air. We also went down Skywater Drive, and in this particular area where there are many homes filled up almost to their roofs and at least to the window tops, and along the way. And as you can see, the damage is just really significant in this area. And at this time, there's just not much to say. More than the floodwaters are there. Please don't go back in. The Department of Natural Resources is there to help. They are there to protect, but they really don't want you to go back into that area. And they said as far as the people who are remaining there, he says they check up on them regularly. There's really only a few left in the area, and those people tell me they have enough food and they have their outdoor grills, and although they have no gas to the area, they do have water service, and they feel that they'll be pretty fine. Back to you, Ben.
Okay, thanks a lot, Lisa, for that live update on what's happening out there in Radium Springs. Well, more rain around the area today. Leanne Pope will be up next with our forecast.
Chaotic. It was frantic. Folks hollering for help, trying to get to them, and cars trying to get out and flooding out. And, it's 180 degrees from what it was in. It's calm and quiet, and ironically, too quiet.
With this frontal system, not enough temperature contrast behind it to cause any problems, because it's about the same behind this front as it is ahead of this front. So we're not going to see any big rain events, but we might see some localized flooding with this during the afternoon, mainly because of the afternoon heating. Our forecast for tonight, a few evening showers and thunder showers. Lows will drop to around 70 degrees, light and variable winds. Then for tomorrow, partly cloudy, scattered afternoon showers and thunderstorms. It will be kind of like today during the afternoon. You'll see the thunderstorms pop up. Highs around 92 degrees, winds out of the southwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. For tomorrow night, partly cloudy, showers and thunderstorms. Lows around 71, winds out of the southwest at about 5 miles per hour. Your marine forecast for Carabel and St. Marks, there are your high and low tides. Winds from the southwest at about 5 knots, seas 1 foot. Water temperature 82 degrees. That will give you smooth waters for your bays and your inlets, and afternoon showers and thunderstorms are possible for Carabel and St. Marks for tomorrow. Your beach forecast. Don't try to get down there if you can't make it. If you're around the Valdosta area, you might get down to around Apalachicola. They can expect partly cloudy skies, maybe an afternoon or evening thunder shower, 90 degrees for a high. Your Georgia beaches, 92 for a high, partly cloudy skies, maybe some afternoon or early evening thunder showers. The extended forecast, we can expect the same type weather pattern. It looks like all the way through Wednesday, partly cloudy skies, maybe an afternoon or evening thunder shower, highs in the 90s and lows in the 70s.
Okay, Leanne, thanks for that, and keep us up to date on all this rain around the area. A couple of things to tell you about. MCI is sending a telephone bank truck from Texas all the way here to Westover High School. It should be at the Westover High School shelter tomorrow. That's so that people can make free phone calls anywhere in the country they would like. There have been so many phone calls coming in and out of the Southern Bell circuits that at times they have been tied up. And, of course, some people are without phone service, and so you may have some relatives around the country that are a little worried about you and want to know what's going on. MCI will have that truck at Westover High School tomorrow for people to make free calls from. That will be there tomorrow. Also in Ben Hill County, the Emergency Management Agency is advising all residents in low-lying areas near the Ocmulgee River at Mobley Bluff and Red Bluff to evacuate. They say this is a voluntary evacuation, that it is not at a critical, very, very emergency situation at this moment, but the emergency management folks in Ben Hill County are advising you to evacuate. Also, the following downtown churches in Albany will not have Sunday services because of traffic problems and the fact that some of them are being used for shelters. The First Baptist Church, First United Methodist Church, First Presbyterian Church, and St. Paul's Episcopal Church, they will have one service at 9:30. Don't go away. We will be back with an awesome rescue of a man who barely speaks English and more of our Flood Watch coverage.
Crying's over with. We just got to pick up and go, so you got to grin and bear it, as they say.
Spring is here and summer is on the way.
And it's time for vacations and travel.
Caravans and Aerostar is perfect for travel. Prices starting at $12.9.
We have the biggest and the best selection of new and program vans in the Southeast.
And our prices are the lowest.
And if you want to travel in total luxury, try one of our town cars starting as low as $19.9.
Let Robert Hutchins in Moultrie, Georgia make your vacation a happy time.
Robert Hudson Moultrie keeps you happy.
Television. So many choices. What to watch? Only one channel has it all. It's NBC.
Crash tire.
From Moscow.
Justice Today on NBC.
It's everything you want.
When you see news happening, call star 10 on your Altel mobile phone. This is a free call.
This is the day many Albanians have been waiting for the past 3 days. This is the day the Flint River is supposed to crest. As the floodwaters continue to surround many homes, residents are waiting to see the first sign of waters receding. News Center 10's Casey Jones joins us live tonight from one of the shelters where some of the thousands of flood victims are staying tonight. Casey?
Ben, many of the people who have been evacuated around the Albany area are staying here at Porterfield United Methodist Church. And this will be their home for the next couple of nights. And as we take a look around the gym floor here, we've got about roughly 200 cots or so set up. And some of them are playing cards, working on some homework, reading books, playing games. Others playing a little bit of basketball here, doing whatever they can to pass the time until they can get back in their homes. Now, the damage here is going to cost millions of dollars. And today, Governor Zell Miller and others came to Albany to see what the flood of the century has done to southwest Georgia.
How is your mother's? Mama's, it's about this far under her windowsills on the outside. Did you notice that?
The concern over these floodwaters is still visible on the faces of many people who've been forced out of their homes by the torrential amount of water, which has overflowed the banks of the Flint River and branched out across Albany. Today, Governor Zell Miller, along with U.S. Senator Sam Nunn, flew into Albany to see the destruction caused by the floods.
The state is in horrible shape in so many places. We have never had a natural disaster in the history of Georgia where so many lives have been touched and where it is going to be so costly.
While at the airport today, Governor Miller and Albany Mayor Paul Keenan were presented checks for recovery from Miller Brewing. The Albany industry is doing its part to take care of our neighbors who have been rocked by the flood by donating $100,000 in cash, $50,000 of which will stay with the Albany Red Cross, $100,000 for food, and 1 million gallons of drinking water for flood victims.
We've had a number of areas flooded out in the last 12, 15, 18 hours. Right. But we know that it's close to the top. We know that it's close to the top, and The people here have been very good. They've been, everybody's cooperated.
Small towns rally together when there's a crisis.
Miller and Nunn toured parts of Albany, then went to a shelter at Porterfield United Methodist Church, where some people shared their stories about their emotional experience with this flood.
How long have y'all been here?
We've been here 2 days.
House underwater?
Yeah, as far as we know, we are not able to get back home. We don't know how long we're going to be here.
Here, there are about 200 people now calling this their temporary home after the floodwaters forced them to evacuate their own homes. In Dougherty County, there are now more than 30 shelters open for flood victims.
You get food, and you get shelter, and you get water.
Wednesday, every time we walked in, it had been nothing but love. Just like home. I mean, they treat us so good.
Close to 20,000 Albany residents have been pushed out of their homes by the flood. And for the 1 in 4 Georgians affected by the flood of the century, Governor Zell Miller says that the keys to recovery are time and patience.
This problem is not going to go away just when the water recedes. It's going to be long and drawn out, and it will be days and weeks before we fully realize the impact.
Now, this is one of several shelters in the Albany area operated by the American Red Cross. And as you can see here, it's very crowded here in the gym. I'm joined tonight by Stephanie Johnson. She is one of the people who has been evacuated from the downtown Albany area. And you were flooded out of your home. Where did you live?
On Highland.
And when were you flooded out?
Friday, Thursday.
And do you know, have you heard any word about your house?
No.
Okay. Were you able to get anything out before the waters rolled in?
No.
Okay. What does it mean having a place to stay in a situation like this?
I don't know. I'm just scared.
You're scared?
Yeah.
I get. Is it a scary feeling just knowing that your house is down there underwater?
Yes.
Okay. But at least you know now you do have a place to sleep, and the Red Cross providing meals. How are you passing the time here? Just doing a lot of sitting and thinking about your house?
Yeah. Just going places, going outside stuff.
Okay. But hopefully the waters will be receding soon, and then you can get back down to your house there on Holly Drive and check it out.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Stephanie, and good luck to you. So, Ben, that's the situation here at Porterfield United Methodist Church tonight. About 200 people or so calling this their temporary home for right now. And this shelter will be open for the next several days until the floodwaters recede and they can get home. Now, one other note to pass along to you, Porterfield United Methodist Church will have services this Sunday. However, it is going to be a very casual service. You're being asked to come in your jeans and t-shirts or short sleeve shirts. It's going to be a very casual service. So while some churches around Albany have canceled their services for this Sunday, the services will be on here at Porterfield United Methodist Church. Ben?
Okay, Casey, what is the mood of most of the people there? Are they still kind of sad and depressed about maybe losing some belongings, or are they trying to make the best of the situation there?
Well, justifiably so. They are very concerned about their homes and everything. But as you look around here, you see a lot of laughter and everything. They're just trying to make the best of a very, very bad situation. I mean, they're sitting here knowing most of their homes are underwater. A lot of their possessions have been destroyed. So they're just trying to make the best of a very bad situation. But the Red Cross is doing an excellent job of taking care of these folks, providing meals and everything to them and shelter. And that's a good thing right now. Pretty much they're just sitting around waiting for the floodwaters to recede. Ben?
And heard one of the young ladies you talked to say that it was very homey, a good home away from home, and I guess that's the highest compliment that the volunteers there can get.
Right, a lot of people have brought in possessions from their house, what they were able to get out with, and pretty much made their cots into their own little miniature bedrooms. So they are doing their best to make it feel like home, at least for now.
Okay, thanks a lot, Casey Jones from Porterfield United Methodist Church. Well, a man who has a lot to do with the American Red Cross shelters is joining us now. This is Tom Hall. He's the chairman of the local Red Cross Board of Directors. Mr. Hall, just how many people do we have in shelters right now in Albany? I guess it's just an estimate, but your best estimate.
Best estimate, I was handed this piece of paper and told to get over here, but it's probably somewhere around 4,000 or better. So we've got a pretty good many in. We've got 26 shelters on the west side that we're trying to operate, and we have 6 on the east side that we have some coordinators over there working those shelters. So between all those, it's a rough 4,000 people.
What kinds of things are needed most at the shelters right now?
Okay, right now we're looking for probably some baby items, food and formula, toys and coloring books for the kids you see running around there that they stay cooped up in there and they get antsy, and so if they have something to do, sheets, pillows, blankets, bed clothing, that's need those big time. Personal hygiene items, some people are bringing them with them, but we're trying to provide some tables, you know, to eat lunch off of, to eat dinner off of. Medical supplies such as walkers, bedpans, those type of items. Not drugs, you know, we're not taking drugs if they, you know, they have to get their medication somewhere else, or we'll try to get walkers and that sort of stuff. The main thing we need is financial support. That's the biggest thing we need right now is monetary support. And let me say this right here when I bring that up. We've had reports of people going door to door asking for cash donations, storefronts, whatever, asking for cash and checks. That's not Red Cross authorized. I want to emphasize that because that's not the way we do business. We have an address here for you to mail your checks or money into. We are not going door to door. That is not us. So please, if somebody comes to your door and asks for a contribution from Red Cross, it's not us. Let me give you that address to send funds to, if you could. It's American Red Cross, Disaster Relief Fund, Albany, Georgia 31701, and it'll get to us.
Can people just go by the Red Cross headquarters, which is now on Dawson Road, or the shelters, and donate there?
We'd prefer them not to, but they can. Prefer if they're going to do that, they would prefer them to come to the Dawson Road location. But we'd rather just mail them in. That way we have a control over it. But if they want to come by, certainly we'll take it there. Besides funds, we're taking donated items. Let me just to the west side of Albany. We're taking the New Covenant Church. That's used clothing, food items, that sort of stuff. East side, Victory Tabernacle out on Sylvester Road. They'll disperse them from there. If you'll take them there, we have people set up there, and then they can disperse them from there. Also, another urgent need is LPNs and RNs. When, again, we have medical needs in these shelters and these RNs, and we had a wonderful response from nurses and even some physicians volunteering their time, and still that's an urgent need.
Mr. Hall, if you'll excuse me, I think we're having some problems with your microphone. I think if we move it up a little bit like that, I think that'll do a little better for us. If people, you know, we've been saying all day that we need all kind of volunteers at the shelters, especially nurses at some of the shelters. If somebody does want to volunteer, what do they need to do?
Okay, they need to just call our number. We have the number they can call, 889-9000. That's our number, and we'll either tell them to come down there and we'll tell them where to go, or we'll tell them over the phone where to go and when to go. We're working in shifts, you know, we're working 12-hour shifts, and so we'll direct them where to go and when to go from there.
What can you say about the volunteers? I mean, how have they done? How big an effort has this been?
It's been tremendous. You know, words probably can't express it, but it's amazing. Like I said, I'm working nights, and we'll have young people in there, kids. You know, of course, there's not much else they can do right now, but they're in there. They're delivering supplies, picking up people, taking them to shelters. We have elderly calling in saying, "I got an extra bedroom if somebody wants to use that." So it's just been a tremendous outpouring of support in the community, and it's just unbelievable. And
these shelters will be open just as long as they are needed?
As long as they're needed. One thing about the shelters, let me just say, if anybody's looking for a shelter tonight, and on the west side we have some that's, most of them are filled up. So if you're looking for one, the Knights of Columbus Hall on Gillianville
right,
and Darton College, it can still take some. On the east side, Sunnyside Church can take some, Victory Tabernacle and Putney First Baptist.
But most of the shelters are really filled up?
They're getting filled up. Matter of fact, our capacity numbers, we're exceeding capacity on some of them.
Okay, Mr. Hall, we appreciate all of your help and support and all the volunteers and everybody associated with the Red Cross.
We appreciate everything they're doing. It's been a big job.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Well, an unbelievable rescue today in Lee County. A man had been stuck in a tree for 2.5 days before he was rescued today. 59-year-old Eddie Manasfi is now getting treatment at Phoebe Putney Memorial Hospital. He was living in the Crusoe Village Court Mobile Home Park on the creek in Lee County when he climbed into the tree Thursday morning about 2 a.m. Mr. Manasfi speaks very little English. He could not personally describe to us just how horrible that experience was. Someone spotted him in the tree today and took him for medical care. He has been treated for dehydration, some bites, and scratches.
Never saw water like that before.
Earlier today, an example of how deceptive the floodwaters are in Albany. Man tried to rescue his cats from his Jamestown second-floor apartment.
My board.
Yeah, I'm really sure.
I'm gonna go upstairs and get my cats and sit and check in my apartment. The last time I heard it was up to my waist.
That's what I heard too.
And when I jumped out, I couldn't touch the bottom. I mean, I can swim, don't get me wrong, but I couldn't get back in the boat, so.
Some friends rescued the man from the water, but they were unable to get him into their boat. They had to drag him through the waters to safety. Albany police told all of our crews that all non-law enforcement boats are no longer allowed in the floodwaters. The amount of damage in South Albany is beyond calculations right now. Homes, schools, churches, and businesses in areas from Oak Ridge to Martin Luther King, Flintside, and Washington Heights are all submerged. News Center 10's Nicole Bailey, her photographer Carlton Christian, and agents from the Department of Natural Resources show us some pictures.
We begin this shocking tour of devastation at the Oak Ridge and Gaines Avenue area, which now serves as a loading dock for boats. To our left, the South Side Branch Library. To our right, the first set of submerged homes and cars on Gaines Avenue. The 6 to 10 feet deep water continues its journey across South Madison Avenue. Here are just two of a number of trapped and bewildered dogs hoping for help. Paul Loska of the Department of Natural Resources was among many involved in the emergency evacuations.
It was chaotic. It was frantic. Folks hollering for help and trying to get to them, and cars trying to get out and flooding out, and it's 180 degrees from what it was in. It's calm and quiet, and ironically, too quiet.
Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard near Zachary and Emily Drives. Businesses and more homes underwater. We now approach Martin Luther King Middle School, one of 4 South Albany schools washed out. Turning down Southwood Drive, the Flint is still rushing through homes. On Sunrise Drive, Tremont Avenue, and spreading through Martin Luther King and McRae. From as far as the eye can see, there's nothing but water. This is the newly remodeled Mount Zion Gardens apartments near Grant and Henderson Roads. Winding through this part of South Albany, it's hard to identify clear streets and even dodge cars and trucks that are now underwater. Rescue teams say many of these fully packed cars were unable to get out of the area in time.
The water was rising so fast, and I think people were trying to salvage what they could, and got caught by the swift rising water, where the house may have been dry, an hour later it wasn't, and they were cut off. Most of the people we pulled out were, knee-deep, maybe waist-deep in places. It wasn't real high on them yet.
This is near the Ebony and Jackson area. Further down, we come close to the forceful Flint near the Oak Ridge Bridge at West Oak Ridge Drive. Back down Jackson Street, we can see Martin Luther King Elementary School and the Martin Luther King Outreach Mission. The pressures of the current knocked down walls of a house near Devan and Jackson. We also near the Meadowlock Court and Hickory Lane areas. And now further down South Madison, we approach Coachman Park Elementary School. We're traveling back by West Oak Ridge, right across the street from the South Side Library. As we traveled through South Albany, there were spots where the current was swift, meaning more water is still coming in. And there's no way to determine just when people will be allowed to go back to their homes. No one knows when the water will finally start receding. Nicole Bailey, News Center 10, South Albany.
More dramatic pictures. Again, we're just trying to show you as much of the flood damage as we can. We know that many of you have been watching us right now have been flooded out of your homes and can't get back into your neighborhoods. And so we're just trying to show you as much of the video as we can so that you'll know what your neighborhood, what your community, what your home looks like. Janice Allen is the Assistant City Manager of Albany. She has been the city spokesperson all along, and she has been with us over the last few days. She's going to join us now with some more information. Actually, she is with Dawn Hobby, and we're very glad to see Dawn Hobby back with us. Dawn has been away for a couple of days because Dawn Hobby also is a victim of the flood. Dawn, first, how are you doing?
Hi, Ben. I'm doing fine, thanks. It's good to be back. You and all the rest of the folks at Channel 10 have really been a lifeline for me and 20,000 people in Albany and Dougherty County. It's through you that we've been able to keep up with what's going on, and it's good to be back at work, and hopefully I can help someone as much as you all have helped me. Part of what has given us strength throughout this flood, Ben, as victims, that once we were evacuated from our homes, we kept in touch with the outside world, and largely in part because of these briefings that our city and county government leaders and emergency personnel, everybody involved in all these efforts, held every day. They held them twice a day. And that's been an important service to people like me who've been evacuated and who don't know from one minute to the next what's going on and what's going to happen. So they had the latest briefing was at 3 o'clock this afternoon, and of course, as all of them have been, it was very informational. At the briefing today, they talked about everything from evacuations and rescues to perhaps a new problem that's on the horizon, sinkholes. 30,000 Dougherty Countyans are without homes tonight because of this flooding, 5,000 of them in shelters. And sadly, police have had to forcibly remove some residents from their homes to save their lives.
We moved in there and just in a few minutes had to have everyone out. When you wake a person up in their home and tell him he's got 15 minutes to get completely out of the neighborhood, I think all of us can understand how he feels, and it's a problem.
Most of the evacuations are over now. Tonight, Palmyra Medical Centers is off the evacuation alert. The hospital is still operating under their internal disaster alert, but at least now they aren't on standby to leave. Their problems are far from over, though. With 170 patients, they desperately need some flooded-out employees to come to work.
Most of our food service individuals who have been or are working now have been there since Thursday. We have many volunteers helping us, but we do need relief in the food service area. So if you're listening in, please call us or make your way to the Elks Lodge and hop a ride to Palmyra.
The city has now resumed garbage pickup for non-flooded areas. It'll be taken to the landfill from the east side. Pickups on the west side of town will be taken to landfills outside Dougherty County. Attention is turning to the massive cleanup ahead. Flood-related problems that are just starting to happen.
Gotten the first report of a lime sink, which has happened at a particular house. And people need to report it. It's nothing to panic about, but it is something that we can expect. Because if there's a cavern there, the ground is going to be very wet, very heavy, very slick, very soft, and it does create the situation that creates the sink to fall in. So.
Now, today was a beautiful day in Albany, and one thing that was brought up at the briefing this afternoon was that perhaps somehow all this sunshine gave everybody a false sense of security. And I think that has happened in some cases. Janice Allen joins me now. She's the Assistant City Manager, and I understand that there have actually been some people who've tried to get back into the flooded areas, even though it's way, way too early.
Yes, some people have been trying to get back in, particularly by boat. People who do have access to boats want to try to get back into the areas to see how the damage at their house, how much damage there is at their particular houses. We are strongly discouraging this. We are considering that a violation of the curfew if it's during the curfew hours, and we really are calling back all people who are out there with boats. I know that there are a lot of concerns about security, and we really don't know who's who. So if you're out there on either side of the river in boats or as pedestrians, we're going to be calling you out of the streets, particularly if you're crossing barricades and things of that nature. On both sides of the river, we will be having helicopters out tonight to watch for looters and all other sorts of people. So we're really encouraging people to abide by the curfew and stay off the streets.
And we thought earlier that the river was going to crest today. I understand that's been postponed as well. What will that mean for you and all the city workers?
Right now, with things going a little north of us, we do think that the crest may not take place until 2 a.m. So we are still very watchful of what's happening. We were expecting today that we would have to pull an all-nighter, and we probably will all be here until about 2 o'clock until we know something a little bit more definitive.
And of course, this came out at the briefing today. Even though the river hasn't even crested, a lot of eyes are looking now to the future, to the cleanup. And what are some of the highlights you can tell us about that? What are some of the things that you're looking at more closely right now about cleanups?
Okay, well, our first concern is maintaining people in the shelters while we are still in a state of evacuation. It's going to take a long time before the floodwaters recede, even after we have crested. So we're going to be mindful to make sure we take care of their needs. Right now, we're in the process of setting up a disaster assistance center. It will be open and operational Monday morning at 8 a.m. That will be located at Highland Magnet School, 1001 Highland Avenue. We also have a national assistance number for people who have questions now and want to go ahead and call. It's 1-800-462-9029, and Channel 10 will have that number for you later on also. The cleanup is next, and of course then we have to move into concerns of transitional housing for those whose homes do not exist anymore or are not livable. So then we have to get into jobs and whether or not people's jobs still exist. So this is an ongoing process, and it will be several months before it's done.
Okay, and there's a phone number also, Ben. We had reported earlier this week that there have been some caskets and some bodies floating out of Oakview and Riverside cemeteries. At the briefing this afternoon, the coroner, Bucky Brookshire, said that as those caskets are being recovered, they are being stored, and there is a number you can call if you think that perhaps someone in your family or loved one's casket may be afloat. Later on, perhaps to identify it or try to identify it. The number is 431-3296. If you have someone buried in Oakview or Riverside Cemetery, the number is 431-3296. That'll put you in touch with the people to perhaps try to later on identify the caskets. So right now, the command post is still set up. The worst is not yet over, even though it may look like it a little bit. The water's receded a little bit to the north of us, but we're urging everyone to please use common sense and to use caution when out and about, and better yet, just stay indoors. And that's it for now from down here, Ben. Back to you.
Dawn, I know that the FEMA people, the Federal Emergency Management Agency people, are here, and you mentioned some disaster relief. Have they, where will they have the Federal Disaster Center set up? Have they picked a site?
I don't think so yet, Ben. Also today, Bob Pollock from the Department of Natural Resources was telling us that they're also going to be issuing some disaster food stamps. They have not yet chosen the location for that. That's something that we're going to have to follow, as well as the location for this. But now let me check with Janice. I know the food stamp location has not been set up, but what about for the FEMA people? Have they set up their location?
This Highland Avenue location is the FEMA location.
So they have, and that's at the Highland Magnet School on Highland Avenue. So that will be the location for the disaster relief through FEMA. As far as the disaster food stamps, that location has not been chosen, but we here at Channel 10 will keep everybody posted as soon as the Department of Natural Resources, Department of Human Resources chooses a site for that.
Okay, Dawn. Thank you very much for that live report, and again, very glad to see you safe and back with us.
Thanks.
Don't go away. We will be back with more dramatic flood watch coverage after this.
Possessions can be replaced. We started without anything at one time, and we'll start over again.
That's all to it.
City workers and volunteers are not only helping people like this woman to safety, they're also trying desperately to save homes. Trucks loaded with sandbags and tireless volunteers are heading from street to street, determined to beat back the floodwaters.
Helping moving sandbags, going all around the neighborhood, putting the sandbags down.
Everybody, they helping out too. So what we did, we don't drop several bags off on this street. Been all back out there by the airport, dropping bags off Willowwoods, Evergreen streets and stuff or whatever. People still need bags. Some people there also, they ain't got nowhere to go. They saying they got 6 children and stuff, but they say they gonna bear with the water. But I don't think it's a good idea, because when we first left him, the water wasn't near right here. So what we think is still coming, and it will take their house and this one and on the next one on down.
We get enough men before Farm 2 land. We got all the people on our truck. We'll get here in a minute. All right.
We're going block to block to sandbag people's houses, so the water, trying to prevent the water from getting in their houses and flooding their belongings, flooding their houses out. We've done a lot of houses. We're still doing houses. Anybody needs them, call to the Civic Center or to Public Works, and they can get the help. You know, they radio in, get the help for them. All of South Albany, everybody that needs it, wherever the flooding's at, we're taking it to the sandbags, trying to help them out as much as we can.
Get down, get inside me. Somebody get inside. Come on, let's go, let's go. Line up. Line up. Here we go.
These spirited volunteers are full of energy now, but more help is desperately needed.
We can use all the volunteers we can get. Anybody wants to volunteer, go to the Civic Center and start digging in. Anybody. They can pile on a truck when they send the truck out. They can do everything they can. We just got to keep doing what we're doing. That's all we can do, you know. Do our best.
There you go.
They've already finished this area right here, and as you can see, they've loaded up. They're heading to the next area. They're going to go from street to street, hoping to stop these floodwaters from rushing into these people's homes. Even with the sandbags in place, families at the other end of the street can only wait and hope the waters will start to recede before their homes are consumed as well. In South Albany, I'm Kristen Hill reporting for News Center 10.
And crews will continue sandbagging efforts throughout the city in the hopes of preserving as many homes as they can. Of course, we can't stress enough the importance of those volunteers, young and old, neighbors helping neighbors out there in that story that you just saw, trying to save their neighbors' homes. And there is a central point for sandbag volunteers, really. It's the Civic Center. That's where they're making many of these sandbags, filling the bags with sand, and then sending them out elsewhere. And city emergency crews say they need as many volunteers as they can get out there. They can't have too many people out there at the Civic Center helping. In fact, the rains that came late this afternoon, early this evening, scared many folks away. When it started pouring down rain, a lot of the volunteers left. But they do ask, if at all possible, anyone who can volunteer, if you can come back down to the Civic Center and help them make these sandbags so that we can keep the waters from going in any other places. Well, as we have told you, there are millions and millions, tens of millions of dollars of damage just to government property alone around our state. That includes many schools. Schools on the south side of Albany, many of them have at least 6 to 8 feet of water in them. Those schools include Flintside Elementary, Martin Luther King here, Coachman Park School also. It's hard to tell if they were able to get everything out of the school or just how much damage has been done to many of these schools, and obviously it will be some time before we have any kind of damage estimates for the schools, and it will be some time before school officials just know how much repair work will need to be done and what all they will have to do about these schools. We're joined now live by Trooper Eddie Williams from the Georgia State Patrol. He's been so good to be with us throughout this entire tragedy to fill us in on just on what's happening with the roads. And Eddie, Albany is really becoming a fairly isolated city. There are a lot of roads closed around us.
There are a lot of roads closed southwest of Albany and north of Albany. There are only, as I'm aware of right now, 2 routes out of Albany on the west side and one, well, there'll be 2 routes here on the out of East Albany also. East Albany has a route going out US 82 all the way over to Tifton, and they also can come down here on Georgia 133 and take it down to Moultrie. Now there's some water up here around 133 as it connects with Georgia 300, so we probably need to catch it off of some other route other than there. The bypass is closed, so you can't come from there. But if you can make your way to 133, that's the Moultrie Road. You can carry it down that way. We've had to close Georgia 300 leaving Albany all the way up to Lake Blackshear. That is closed. Georgia 32 Bridge is closed. Coming north out of Albany, you can get into Leesburg, but once you get to Leesburg, 19 has been closed up to Americus. Some of these roads up in Americus are still closed. I'm only familiar with two roads that are open coming in and out of Americus, but it does connect and it does make a through route through Americus. That would be Georgia 30 from Buena Vista all the way down through Americus, and then you hook up with US 280, and that would be Georgia 30 also. 280 hooks up with it there. It runs together. It's the same road, and you can carry that over to Cordele. In the Cordele area, we have not had any reports from that post of any closures in the area. But we do understand farther east over here into Ben Hill County, they may have some problems with the Ocmulgee a little bit later on. No reports of any closures from the Douglas State Patrol Post. The Tifton State Patrol Post has no closures. On down into Thomasville, they're not reporting any closures. Valdosta has not reported any closures. I'm going to work my way back over here through Thomasville and over to the Donaldsonville Post. Donaldsonville is not reporting any closures at this particular time. As you're well aware of, this water does flow in the southward out of Albany, and it's coming this way. So that's going to cause some problems in the state roads in that area. So we're asking that if you're going to evacuate, or if you've been asked to evacuate, you need to go ahead and do so. The Bainbridge area is patrolled by the Donaldsonville Patrol Post. Some of our people met earlier today. We understand that there may be some troopers en route to this area a little bit later on this week to assist in their local efforts, as this community is probably going to be cut in half down here as the water flows right through the middle of it. Coming up into Early County, we have one road closure there. I believe Georgia 200 at Damascus has been closed back up to Newton, Georgia. 91 has been closed from Josu Lee Plantation north. That's to Georgia 253, where it intersects with Georgia 91 all the way up north to Newton, has been closed. Very important thing I need to tell you right now is that Georgia 91, we had been giving that as an alternative route out of Albany down to Newton. You've seen the footage earlier today in this newscast. Newton is underwater right now, and 91 had been opened. But the DOT has closed 91 at Vanderbilt Drive for all southbound traffic. We had been telling you that maybe you could get down through here if it was an emergency, and you could take Georgia 37 out of Newton all the way over to Camilla. Well, that has been stopped. There is no traffic now south of Albany on Georgia 91. It has been closed. If you are south of Albany, you left today and you came down, the only route that you're going to be able to take would be come back to East Albany and up that way. Now, I mean, we'd be here all night long if I were trying to give you some alternative routes to take to get back up into this area, but based on the information I've been able to give you so far of the closures, you'll have to try and figure out a route back up from where you may be. You can be anywhere in this area, but you'd have to try to find a way back up. Be aware that the water is flowing this way, and if you do decide to come this route, these roads are subject to close at any moment. We can't guarantee the safety of any of these highways, and simply because I haven't listed a road as being closed here does not mean it's an absolute safe road. Water is coming up over them with some of the rain we've had in the southwest Georgia area tonight. You'll be able to see that there is some very hazardous roads out there.
You were talking about Ben Hill County just a few minutes ago with the Ocmulgee River. We want to let you know that the Ben Hill County, we made this announcement once earlier, but we do want to remind you that the Ben Hill County Emergency Management Agency advises all residents in low-lying areas near the Ocmulgee River at Mobley Bluff and Red Bluff to evacuate. You probably saw some pictures earlier in the week of the Ocmulgee River up around Macon. Macon had tremendous flooding problems earlier in the week, and the Ocmulgee River comes down and cuts through part of Ben Hill County, right there on the northern edge of Ben Hill County. And the Ben Hill County Emergency Management folks are saying people in low-lying areas up there on the Ocmulgee River do need to evacuate.
Yeah, let me give you come in just a little bit more on this graphics right here, and you'll be able to get an idea of where the Ocmulgee is and what we're talking about. The Ocmulgee will run, like you say, Ben, from this area down. It'll make a U shape. Bring your graphic out just a little bit. Let me give them a bigger shot here, if you don't mind. Let's come out. so you'll know where we're talking about. Interstate 75 is here. It splits the state. I-16 runs this way. The Ocmulgee splits it. It comes right down through here. So the Ocmulgee may be having some flooding problems a little bit later on, and you may have some evaluation there. It's very difficult. You say the Ocmulgee River, it does make a winding deal here all the way down. So you will see that a lot of people may be confused or not familiar with that area. So if you're going to be leaving this area and traveling there, be aware that this is where this river is, and it may affect a lot of that in there. I-75 is open northbound. There's one lane. You can take it all the way up to Macon, Georgia, in through Macon, and I-16, you can catch that and run all the way to Savannah. I-16 has been opened up. 475 is open northbound and southbound, as the southbound lanes are open on I-75 all the way down to the Florida line. But be aware that you can go no farther north on I-75 in Macon except to I-16, as we're aware of.
So things are getting better up north of us. They were having the problems earlier, South Atlanta the first of the week, Macon early in the week, but down here things, especially south and west of Albany, things are getting worse.
The critical area for us, Macon is critical. I talked to a radio station earlier today. They advised me that they didn't have any drinking water up in the Macon area. So if you're going to be going through there, be prepared that you're not going to be able to hang around. The critical area for southwest Georgia now is south of Albany, and I don't want to make light of anybody else. Everybody is critical, but right now we're focusing on our attention to some of these streets down, our state roads down in this area. I can't overemphasize enough, if the people down in your area, the officials who are handling the evacuations, tell you that you need to go, you need to move. As nature of the job, we're about as cynical as they come. I mean, I don't believe much, half of what I hear. But if we're telling you, you need to go ahead and move, then you need to move. And the reason we're telling you now is so you don't have to wait until the water is on the road. The only fatality that we've had up here in Albany, as was mentioned earlier, has been a vehicle hitting some water in the roadway, and there was a drowning after that. So that's the only fatalities that we've had. If we can get the people out before the waters come over the road, then we'll be much better off. And we'll keep you up to date on this as we can, and we get these changes, particularly over here in the area around Ben Hill County.
And actually, the DOT was telling us earlier today, they have had so many roads shut down and they've used up all of their barricades that they've put across the road. They have run out of the big road closed barricades because there are so many roads closed. So they are using, in many places, just barrels or just the orange construction cones that you see. So if you come up on a road, even if it doesn't have a big sign, if it has cones across the road, please heed that. That means that road is closed, and do not try to drive around those barricades, around those cones, because that means that there is water on the road and it is not safe for you to be in that area. Trooper Eddie Williams, we certainly appreciate your help in updating us on the road situation again. We'll probably see you again tonight. Thanks a lot. Again, we have been trying to show you just as much flood video as we can. Right now, I think we've got some stuff from North Albany. We've been showing you some video from East Albany and South Albany earlier. This is from North Albany earlier today. This is along Valley Road and Greenwood Road, which is right next to Dawson Road. This is not far at all from Dawson Road, what you're seeing here. And you can see the water there is flooding some homes. This is along Valley Road and Greenwood. I was actually over in this area about 4 o'clock this morning, and the water was all the way up to Dawson Road and just right into the edge of Dawson Road, but it was several feet high back in Valley Road and Greenwood Road, that area. At about 4 o'clock this morning, there was a Department of Natural Resources boat that was using Dawson Road as kind of a landing. They just pulled up and put their boat right into the water on Dawson Road to go back into the area that we are looking at right now. There were some car alarms, some burglar alarms, and some houses that were going off there, and they just went back to check out the situation. They said that it was probably just the current, the water, that was setting those alarms off. They didn't think that there were actually any looters or any problems like that. They just went to check it out thinking that it was probably just the water that had set it off, and as far as we know, that is true. We haven't heard any reports of any looting. But you can see this is miles from the Flint River. No one ever expected the water to be doing this to homes this far away from the Flint River, but that is how serious the situation is, and it could get worse tonight. We do expect the river to continue rising. That's a bit of an ironic scene right there. That house that is has a couple of feet of water in it, it looks like, is for sale. Again, though, The waters probably will continue to rise. You see some tadpoles swimming through somebody's front yard over there in that area that is not far from Dawson Road. That is down around Dawson Road and 3rd Avenue, Magnolia Avenue, in that area. This is just to the north of the Dawson Road and 3rd Avenue intersection to show you where that where we're talking about. But again, this is a very serious situation. The floodwaters, while they are not rising rapidly, they are expected to continue to rise. The Flint is still expected to crest in Albany about 46 feet sometime late tonight, possibly early tomorrow morning. Trooper Williams was mentioning the water situation up in Macon. There are hundreds of thousands of people up there who are still without water. We want to clear your mind here in our area. If you are on city water in Albany, if you are a water, gas, and light water customer, if you have city water, it is completely safe. They have been checking the water very periodically for the last several days. They have found nothing, no bacteria, no contamination out of the ordinary in our water. It is clean, it is safe, there is nothing wrong with our water system here in the city of Albany. However, if you have a private well and that well is underwater, you should not drink the water. It may not be safe. You should boil all water if you have a private well that is underwater. Again, city water in Albany is safe. Private wells that are underwater are not safe. You should not use that water. You should boil it. And once the floodwaters subside, WGNL will be helping people with private wells to try to test their water and see just how things are. But again, city water in Albany right now is safe to drink. Don't go away. We will be back with more of this extended special flood watch coverage on News Center 10.
Majority of our clothes are still hanging up in the closets. You know, basically all of our personal items, and kitchenware, food in the refrigerator, food in the freezer. I mean, everything is pretty much as if we just walked out and left it.
When you buy a new vehicle from Southland Ford, you can be assured of the best deal up front. No song and dance or goofy gimmicks with screaming salesmen. We respect and appreciate your business. And right now at Southland Ford, you can get a new Ford XLT half-ton pickup loaded with cruise, tilt, airbag, AM/FM cassette for under $16,900 or payments of $323 a month. So if you're tired of getting the runaround, come see one of the Southland dealers, Chrysler, Jeep and Cordele, and Ford and Ashburn.
When your job puts you in a world of hurt, you need powerful relief.
Power, BC Power.
No matter where you're hurting, you need the power of BC.
BC Power in the powder, the power of BC.
When you need strong relief, BC Powder stops pain fast.
The power of BC.
94 Dodge 1500, 16645, Southland and Cordele.
Remind you where you can go for emergency medical care. Of course, both of the hospitals in Albany are here on the west side of the river, but that does not mean that people in East Albany are without emergency medical care. The East Side Medical Center over on Broad Street, if you need emergency care, the East Albany Medical Center is open and they are staffed to handle medical emergencies over there. If it's something that they can't handle and they need to get you to a hospital, they will have some helicopters available to get people to either Phoebe or Palmyra over here. Of course, in West Albany, both hospitals are still open. Palmyra is still surrounded by water, but it is open and operating. They are under a disaster plan there, but it is still operating. They did keep the water from coming into the hospital and causing any serious problems. So it is still open and operating. Phoebe Putney is operating as well. But again, in East Albany, if you need emergency medical care, you can go to the East Albany Medical Center. Also, Lee County Baptist Church has announced that they will not have services tomorrow, and most of the main churches in downtown Albany, First Baptist, First Methodist, and First Presbyterian, will not have church services tomorrow. St. Paul's Episcopal will have one service at 9:30. Well, the floodwaters couldn't leave fast enough for many South Georgia farmers who can only sit back and wait to get into their water-soaked fields. Joe Corson with the University of Georgia Extension Service reports on what farmers can do while they wait.
The floodwater has cut through some prime Georgia peanut land, leaving hundreds of acres of the crop literally underwater. The question that many farmers won't answer now is, how much water can peanuts take and survive?
We are concerned somewhat about peanuts being underwater, and generally we found that they can withstand anywhere from 1 to 3 days being underwater, probably closer to 1 day since the ground has been saturated.
An alternative for some growers, says the Extension Service expert, involves using farm equipment to drain fields if they can.
Well, I try to move some of the water off the peanut, whether that means cutting some ditches to drain. Some growers may or may not have that option. There may be no place for the water to drain, so in that case, they're just at the mercy of Mother Nature.
Farmers' problems started in the sky with torrential rains that caused the floods, but ironically, it could be the sky that could help save some crops. Aerial applicators like this one will apply much-needed pesticides that will save literally thousands of acres of crops. Already, some aerial applicators have seen their business take off because farmers can't get into the extremely wet fields with their ground equipment. The Extension Service expert says that with peanuts, disease prevention becomes even more important. Flying pesticides on may be the only option left.
We're trying to encourage growers from a disease standpoint to make their fungicide applications and stay on schedule. In this case, a 10-day fungicide schedule for leaf spot would be called for.
Extremely wet field conditions will make it possible for diseases to attack the peanuts from another direction.
We're probably going to begin to see our soil-borne disease symptoms show up in the field. Growers need to make notes on what diseases they have as far as our soil-borne diseases in particular. Looks like tomato spotted wilt is off to a good start this year, unfortunately.
With ideal conditions for diseases to attack peanuts from top and bottom, the Extension Service expert encourages growers not to give up because the peanut plant has an amazing ability to bounce back.
Just want to encourage growers to hang in there, and we'll make it through the year, and hopefully we'll have a real good year.
And hundreds of peanut farmers need all the encouragement they can get. Joe Corson reporting for News Center 10.
And a lot of you peanut farmers out there may start seeing your plants turn yellow in color. You might think that the crops need nitrogen, but Extension Service experts say do not apply nitrogen to the peanuts now. The plants will green up on their own when the soil begins to dry out. Well, bank customers of First Union now have access to two mobile bank machines. The bank has put mobile cash machines at the Harvey's supermarket on Oglethorpe Boulevard and at the First Union main branch downtown. First Union is also supplying food for victims through the emergency management system. South Albany residents in the Evergreen subdivision off Newton Road are banding together tonight with an organized plan to help survive the threatening flood. Sandbags line portions of streets like Juniper Drive, where floodwaters started seeping into the subdivision last night. Residents kept an all-night watch of the area while they filled sandbags. People here say they want to avoid boat rescues, so most of them are already packed and ready to move if necessary. Residents are also watching the homes of those who have already left to protect them from looters. A number of people say they will stay put, though, for now.
We have packed some stuff in our car, and if we get higher, then what we're going to do is just go for higher ground if the water get higher. Otherwise, we are watching the news, you know, and the water.
We had planned to try and stay as long as we could, although we are ready to leave. If worse come to worse, we are packed and got everything put up as high as we can in the house. So where if we have to leave, we can leave, you know, on a very short notice.
And folks in the Evergreen subdivision have also mapped out escape routes for quick neighborhood evacuations. And again, just to give you some perspective on how far these floodwaters are spreading, the Evergreen subdivision is on the other side of the airport. If you don't know where it is rather west of the airport, farther away from the Flint River. But that is just how far these floodwaters have spread. Well, don't go away. We will be back with more of our Flood Watch coverage right after this.
Dad came, he told us to get out of the house, but we didn't. And then the second time he came, we didn't get out. He came and told us again. And the third time he came, he had to help us get out the water. And it was very, very flooded. It came from the ditch.
Ow, not so tight, man. Hey, Will Smith here, and when I'm not on the set of my hit show, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, I like to kick it on the ice. Hey, check this out. Woo! That was the bomb, wasn't it? Ain't no stopping me now.
Experience the grace and beauty of The Fresh Prince, Mondays on NBC.
Helpline, an information and referral service. We refer you to agencies that strive to help you meet your needs. If you find yourself needing emergency help with utility bills, food, shelter, clothing, or medical needs, referrals for support groups, counseling, and services for the elderly or disabled. A service of the United Way of Southwest Georgia. We care. Call today, 888-6126.
You knew you should slow down. You didn't. You wanted to be careful. You weren't.
He's breathing. Get him on the smoke tube. Get him up on the side, get him on the floor. Sir, push that in. Good shot. Not breathing. Not breathing. We don't have a problem.
Every year, workers are injured or killed at highway construction sites.
I never saw it.
You just made it one more. They aren't statistics. They're people.
I want to let you know very quickly again, Albany and Dougherty County are under a curfew tonight from sunset to sunrise for all of Dougherty County from 7 p.m., already a curfew in effect now, from 7 to 8 a.m. for areas within a quarter of a mile of flooded out areas. Also, we want to make sure that that we're clear on what's happening down in Bainbridge. The river is expected to crest Wednesday at 45 feet. I think we may have shown a graphic earlier in the newscast that said 35 feet, but that is not correct. Down in Bainbridge, the river is expected to crest Wednesday at 45 feet. We will have some more video, some more news from flooding in our immediate area coming up in just a couple of minutes. But first we want to go down and show you some stuff from Florida. They are having problems there as well. A number of people have been flooded out of their homes. Or rather 4 men down in Florida were arrested this afternoon and charged with interfering with justice when Florida police refused to let residents of Caryville check in on their flooded homes. Mike Vasalinda has that story for us.
A large crowd congregated at the end of this county road after police began stopping people from checking their homes by boat.
Let me have it. Let him off here. Payment's hot, goddammit. Damn, my payment's hot. The payment's hot, Joe. You better not hurt him.
4 men were arrested.
No reason. No damn reason at all.
Now you were trying to get back to your property?
That's right. And this man behind me here pushed my sister, and that's what started it.
In their wheel?
And his name is Joe Roberts.
It is witnesses who blame police for overreacting.
I want you to know that he did not do nothing. He did not say nothing to him. Joe Roberts started it with him. I was standing right beside him.
What's the problem, Montana? Just don't push me, Joe. Don't push me. Keep on. Don't push me, Joe.
Are you the one hitting me?
I ain't touched you.
You the one hitting me, Jim?
I ain't touched you. If I go to hit you, you'll know it.
That's how this started, is they want to take food to the relatives, and they told them they can't.
This is what residents were trying to tend to. We found a dog on the roof of this house, propane bubbling out of the tank at this house. Boat traffic had been heavy throughout the day until police stopped it. Residents were particularly concerned about these coffins that have risen to the surface.
The graves are popping up.
We know. That's why I know the reasons we're stopping the boat traffic.
Yeah, but you got the time.
The melee lasted just minutes, but it is a clear indication of just how thin everyone's patience is wearing.
Keep your hands off me. All I'm asking you, if you'll please just stand up. Just get your hands off me. Hey, don't. Come on.
In Caryville, Mike Vasalinda, News Channel 8.
Again, we want to make sure you understand that was down in Florida, in Caryville, Florida. Luckily, we have not had any problems like that. Most of the people have been very cooperative up in our area when they have been asked to leave. And again, that curfew is in effect tonight And the police say they will be enforcing it, but we don't expect to have any problems like that. Well, our Jim Wallace was out checking out some flood damage up around the Doherty-Lee County line, where the floodwaters have just risen to unbelievable levels. And Jim has some video and a story for us from the Doherty-Lee County line.
The good news is the water is receding on the Kinchafoonee Creek area near Lovers Lane Road. The bad news is the floodwaters have already done its damage to hundreds of homes in this area of Doherty County and Lee County. Most homes are still to the roof line, still in water. Most total losses to the water damage. One of the flood victims, Bob Fowler, took me in about 11 o'clock. The water is down. As you can see on Bill Wright's house off of North Jefferson, 3 or 4 feet has dropped already, as you can see by the dark stain on the wall. As we moved into the creek, the water is up to the top of the Jefferson Street Bridge. 2 cars still on top of the bridge untouched. The water is high and deep, however, still.
21 feet right here. This normally is maybe 7 or 8 feet.
Most of these families in this area off Lovers Lane were the hardest hit by the flood's fury. The swift waters rise Wednesday night trapped them.
Everybody along Lovers Lane Road really was not expecting the water coming from the Muckalee. We were monitoring the news, and everybody was talking about the Kinchafoonee and when it was going to crest, and it was supposed to crest like on Thursday night. And Wednesday night about 10:30, we noticed the water was coming and just rushing up in the yards, and it was coming down to Muckalee. And everybody that lived on the end of Lovers Lane down here, it just came up over about 2 feet an hour, and if you weren't ready to go, you just didn't realize it. And before they could get cars out, there must be 50 cars up and down here. And the houses, people were quite lucky to get out with their clothes. And that's all we had. We got out with what we had on our backs.
The Muckalee Creek rise on one side and the Kinchafoonee on the other side trapped these families. Even though many were already packed and ready to go, they were stranded. This truck holds Lamar Meyer's furniture. All his treasures, his belongings are packed. But the water trapped him, and now they're lost. Herb Benford of Wade Drive was packing, but the swift rising water stopped him. His brand new piano sits in his friend's new pickup on the highest ground that they could find that night, but then they had to flee.
It was coming up pretty quick, and I had called a friend of mine to come help Tony Halligan. Just got this new pickup over here that the piano's on last week, and the water came up so quick. After we got the piano loaded, we could not make it out Lovers Lane, and brought it up here to a neighbor's house, which is just a slightly higher ground than we have, thinking we might get by. But as you can see, it just about covered the top of the truck. So our piano's out here if anybody wants to come out and have a creekside party. A lot of water and a lot of piano to have a party out here in the open.
I guess you gotta have a sense of humor right now about all this.
It's all over with. Crying's over with. We just got to pick up and go. So you got to grin and bear it, as they say.
What about the future? What do you, I mean, you know, now you're sitting there watching the water go down. What are your thoughts?
It's a wait and see. It's going to be a hard road to climb, a high hill, but we're going to have to do it like everybody else. And everybody up and down Lovers Lane is in the same boat that we're in, so we're going to have a lot of friends helping, and a lot of people have been calling concerned, so I know we'll have a lot of help, and I appreciate everybody that's concerned about us and everybody else up and down Lovers Lane.
Will you come back here again to build?
Gonna rebuild here. This is my home.
Herb saved his great-grandfather's picture, just one of the few things that he could salvage as he boats back in to look around. The houses on Lovers Lane Road are flooded throughout. Some 2-story flood-built homes might have saved some goods, but most are underwater. flagpoles and basketball goals give you an idea just how deep the water is. Cars and trucks parked by the door with people's goods still inside. Bob Fowler's home is typical. His son Robert and his son-in-law Jeff stayed in the house trying to find something to save.
Water line's up about right that high.
You just leave it in there for now.
Bob, you're looking at all your possessions right here floating around now.
I got mixed emotions. You know, it's sad, but we came out with all of our lives. We didn't lose anybody, and possessions can be replaced. We started without anything at one time, and we'll start over again.
There are some good stories to this tragedy. Buddy Clark and his son John spotted their neighbor's dog stranded on his roof, where he had been since Wednesday night. Now he's safe and sound. Another flood victim, a survivor. Like most of these people, they say they'll be back, putting their homes and lives back together again when the water subsides. Jim Wallace, News Center 10.
And Leanne Pope joins us now from the Weather Center with a final weather update.
Thanks, Ben. We have a severe thunderstorm warning to tell you about. It's for Lanier County. That's where you see that area shaded right there in the bright red. A severe thunderstorm warning at 7:48. The National Weather Service radar indicated a severe thunderstorm in southern Lanier County. It's moving toward the north and will move through the town of Lakeland during the next hour. This storm can produce damaging wind in excess of 55 miles per hour, destructive hail, deadly lightning, and very heavy rain. So move to an interior room on the lowest floor of your home or business if you're in the path of this storm. Also, you can have some heavy rains that cover the roads, and you can have a little bit of flash flooding. And it will happen in a very short period of time, so don't drive through any areas that you can see the water on the roads. We also have several other counties that you can see the strong thunderstorms as they move to the north at about 12 miles per hour for Dooley, Crisp, Wilcox, Ben Hill, and Irwin counties. Also some strong thunderstorms up in this area, but right now we do have a severe thunderstorm warning until 8:30 for Lanier County. Ben?
All right, thanks, Leanne. We want to give you the two main emergency numbers that you can call if you need help, if you need information, or if you want to offer help and information, if you want to volunteer for flood victims. The main numbers here in Albany are 431-28660. That is the Emergency Operations Center, and the Red Cross is 889-9000. Again, if you need help or if you want to offer help, you can call either of those two numbers. That crest at about 45 to 46 feet. But even though the waters were not rising too terribly much throughout the day today, they probably will continue to rise some more through the night and into the early morning hours. Sad to report tonight that another body was discovered today in Americus. That puts the statewide flood death toll at 24, and there are at least 3 others still missing in Americus. Here's a look at some other damage since the flooding began in Georgia Tuesday. Approximately 30,000 Albanians, as we have said, have been forced from their homes. Red Cross officials estimate that half of all the homes in our city have experienced some flooding. 19 people in our viewing area, including 12 in Americus, have died as a result of the deadly waters. Statewide, there have been 24 fatalities. Approximately 5,000 people are using shelters in the Albany area alone. More than 600 evacuees have been put up at Albany High School. That shelter is one of among many in the area that are full tonight. Water has covered more than 400,000 acres of crops, including vegetables, fruits, peanuts, cotton, and corn. 43 counties in our area have been declared disaster areas. 31 have been cleared to receive federal aid. Of course, our reporters have been out in the field all day in various areas surveying the damage, trying to show you as much of the flood-damaged areas as we can throughout the day and again tonight. Robert Heydrich, you were up in a helicopter earlier in the day surveying some damage in East Albany. Tell us what you saw.
Well, this was the first chance that I had to get airborne. I've seen the aerial shots that we've been getting and some other affiliates and other stations have been shooting, but until you get up there by yourself and see for yourself the damage, you really understand just how devastating this tragedy is. And we start tonight. We went today looking at Radium Springs to show you just how bad it is there. And between Radium Springs and Oak Ridge Drive, which is where you're looking at, it's one of the hardest hit areas in the city. You saw a church there with water up to maybe to its roofs. The casino had water up to the top door on the first floor, and we're still now flying north along Radium Springs Road. There you see the Food Line grocery store just south of the Oak Ridge Drive intersection. The Winn-Dixie, which we showed you last night, was flooded. We pull out and you get a wide shot, the Kmart down there on the bottom part of your screen, and you can just see how deep the water is and how the flooding is. Now we're flying south. This is about the same vicinity, same location from Oak Ridge Drive along the west side of Radium Springs Road. You can see what looks like a tank of some sort floating there. Some cars submerged, water in the doors, water in the homes. We're approaching the Marine Corps Canal. This is just south of the Marine Corps Canal off of Radium Springs Road. Looking to the east, we think this is the Blue Water Drive vicinity, and we say that we think that is. We don't want to say we know for sure because it is so difficult from there unless you're looking at something like the casino to know what you're showing. And now you're looking at Holly Drive area. The Camellia Apartments with some damage, homes back from there damaged, but as you get towards, move towards Roxana, you can see that area hasn't been touched. At the top of your screen off of Roxana Drive, that's Radium Springs Elementary School. It has not been touched by the flood. That's Radium Springs Middle School off of Radium Springs Road, south of the casino. It seems to have escaped the wrath of the flood. Now we're flying around the Radium Springs Country Club area. Below me is the golf course. It was underwater. These are homes around the golf course. They have water almost to the rooftops in some places. The Radium Springs Clubhouse is water up to the roof, and a lot of damage there. Now we're flying down towards Putney. That was southeast Doherty. You can see the baseball fields there are flood-free, no water there. But south of Merck Chemical in Putney, southwest a little bit of Merck Chemical, do not know what the roads are here. Can just tell you that this is south of Merck Chemical in Putney off of Radium Springs Road, and you can see how high the water has gotten and the damage that it has done to the homes in this area of Putney. As we were able to fly down there today, and can see that water up to the windows at this house, a little bit deeper in some areas near the river itself in Putney. And now we pull back to a wide shot, and we're about to fly over Merck to show you exactly what's the situation with Merck Chemical. It is all right. You can see top of your screen there's a little bit of water nearby, but right now Merck is in no danger and everything is fine there. And that's one thing we're trying to show you here, not just the areas that have been flooded, but those areas that haven't been flooded, major areas like Merck Chemical. And now you see Albany State College, one of the most hardest hit areas in this state, and the Albany Polecats, who have canceled games for the next week, but they have the good news of knowing that their field and their stadium and their offices are intact. We had a call last night that said the Polecat personnel had to pull out within a moment's notice because of the bridge closing. They were told that if they didn't leave, they could be stuck in East Albany for some time. And now we're flying over the dam, and you can see the torrential water pouring over the dam headed south. And coming up here, one last shot, this trestle, and just look at how high the water has gotten on this railroad trestle. If you've ever driven across the bridge and looked south and seen that railroad trestle, it just gives you an idea of the awesome power and the tremendous amount of water that has been brought by this flood. And there you see water across the railroad tracks. That's in the old Leesburg vicinity, just south of the bypass near Jefferson. City Communications radio towers were flying into downtown Albany. Water in the parking lot behind the fire department. Some problems north.
We will have Lisa's story in just a second. We will be back with more flood coverage after this.
This portion
of the caskets that you've seen, but to see those from the air, it is a scary sight. In Washington homes, which the water up to the rooftops, I mean, if it wasn't for those roofs, you'd never know that there are homes there. And I was wondering, just exactly as we were flying over, just whether we were flying over homes that were completely covered in water south of the Civic Center. It is the depth of the water in some places is unbelievable.
And really amazing in some places that are completely dry and just a block or two away, feet of water.
Yeah, and that's the way it is back here where I live off of 12th Avenue. About 2 blocks over, there are homes that are underwater, and ours is a low-lying area. We're kind of watching it and hoping that it doesn't get us, but we hope we're out the woods. But that's the kind of flood that we're dealing with here in all areas, because there's some areas that are just in the same neighborhood that are dry and are in no danger, and other areas 1 or 2 blocks over that are just have 5 or 6 feet of water. And it is quite an amazing thing. I know that they're talking about downtown city engineers wanting to monitor it and record every movement that the water has made here to better understand just exactly what would happen should this ever happen again. But we said it's the flood of the century, and let's hope that it never happens again.
Not very likely that it ever will. Thank you very much, Robert. Well, News Center 10's Dave Nethers has been over in East Albany all day, and he joins us live now from Albany State College. Dave, I haven't seen you in person today because you've been on the other side of the river all day. What is the situation like over there right now?
It's really not a whole lot different than it is on the west side of the river. Very glad that we finally have had an opportunity to come over here and survey the damage in East Albany, and want to let the people here know that certainly they have not been forgotten. It's such a strange thing that you can't come. East and West Albany are separated by only a few bridges, and yet they seem so far apart, have seemed so far apart for the last few days. Also, I want to mention at that point that those bridges apparently have come under some scrutiny now from the Department of Transportation. I'm told with some authority tonight that the Department of Transportation has been looking at the Broad Avenue Bridge and also the Oglethorpe Boulevard Bridge and the Oak Ridge Drive Bridge. Right now they are concerned about some structural integrity of those bridges, and I'm sure that we'll hear more about that in the coming days. They have been letting some emergency personnel cross those bridges. They have been letting government vehicles cross those bridges, but I am told again with some authority tonight that after nightfall they may not even let National Guard back across those bridges. Of course, we will over the next few days let you know what the concerns are there with those bridges. We have had an opportunity back here in East Albany to survey the damage in some areas, and Otis Malone and I took a trip through the Cromartie Beach area today. And this is the site in Cromartie Beach, and it's a site that has repeated itself in many, many areas of this city and throughout the state of Georgia over the last several days, and will continue to repeat itself south of here. You're looking at some homes along Cromartie Beach that are underwater, and we're on Beachview Drive now, traveling as many would ordinarily by car, but this time by boat, and looking at some of these houses. We are told that the water rose very, very quickly in this area. This is actually, Beachview Drive is actually on the floodplain map for the 100-year flood. When the water came up here, some expected that it might, but never expected that it would get this deep. There's another house there that you see. You can really only see the eaves of that house, and you can only see the rooftop. Right next door, another house that seems to be more out of the water. Some of these houses are built on stilts. Some of the houses are on higher ground, and you may see in the foreground a mailbox that is almost completely submerged in some of these shots. And yet the house seems to be, fortunately, untouched. But nevertheless, this water is probably about, in some places, as deep as 10 feet. While we were going down the road there in our boat, we actually at one point bumped into something that was submerged. And the gentleman who was taking us on our trip said, "Oh, I know what's there. That's a shed, completely submerged underneath the boat. You couldn't see it." He, in fact, is also a victim of the flood there, and his house, fortunately, seems to have escaped some damage because it is up on stilts, but his neighbors are not as fortunate. Some other houses here, we are told that there were some elderly people or older people who live in the neighborhood. Fortunately, everyone was able to escape. These floodwaters get out of the beach view area, and that just gives you an indication right there of the depth of the water in areas off this street. Just more of the same tragedy that we've seen all throughout Albany and other areas of Georgia during the last several days. Another house there with water all the way up to the eaves. That's the same house right there, and the neighbor's house. You can see both of them just completely submerged. A little bit of warning there, and the people got out. What you're looking at now is the Georgia Power Dam. Robert just showed us some aerial footage of the Georgia Power Dam. Otis Malone shot this footage today of the dam from the ground, the water rushing. You can see the water level on both sides of the dam is about even. Here in this shot, you can see that the water is actually rushing around the dam. Not all of the water is going over top the dam. It's overrun the dam around the sides, and that is the water that is rushing around the sides of the dam. It doesn't even look like a dam. There's just a little bit of some structure that you can tell in the middle of this huge, huge pond of rushing water. And that is what the Georgia Power Dam, fortunately, from what we can see, as close as we could get to that dam, the dam appears intact, and everything does look like it's going to weather the storm. That, again, the Georgia Power Dam here from the east side in Albany. And we are back live at Albany State College, and I'd like to now draw your attention to the building in back of me. I will step out of the way so that you can see this building. This is the Criminal Justice Building in Albany, and the floor, the floor that you can see that appears to be the bottom floor in this picture is actually the second floor of this building. And I'll ask Otis to pan down, and we'll take a look at where the water level is. And you can see the tops of the windows from the first floor of this building. And again, that'll give you some idea of what the water level is. It's actually, we're standing on the edge of a ramp, of a paved ramp here, and so the water level is about even with where we're standing. But there's a very sharp drop here. If you know, we're off of the Radium Springs Road entrance to the college, and the water drop-off, or the drop-off of the pavement is very steep, and so the building is actually down below us some, and the water is up to the top of the first floor windows. It does appear, if you look at the building, and we've been told today that it appears that the water has dropped off some there, but as you've said, Ben, I think today that the water has not crested. Some of the people here in East Albany have decided to weather the storm, and they've decided to stay in their homes over there in the Cromartie Beach area. Despite the fact that their first floors may be filled with water, they've stayed in the second floor of their house without electricity, without refrigeration, and we talked with some of those people today.
Well, this is my home, and I wanted to stay here with it, and if anything was going to happen, I wanted to do what I could.
What about work the last couple of days?
Well, it came up so quick. My neighbor down here, whose house is completely in the water, Tommy Darcy, he called me up at 5:45. I got up at 4 o'clock in the morning and went down there, and the water was normal. And at 5:45, he called up and said it was on his front step, but I come down there and help him. And I went down there, helped him for about 30 minutes,